There we go. There I am. Hey, everybody. Welcome to episode 2 of the Reely Scared podcast. My name is Taylor. I will be your guide on this journey. I am joined by a very special guest, lovely Jessica here, my number one ghoul. So say hi, Jessica.
Hello.
And of course, I am joined by the almighty Connor
How's it going?
Breedlove. Woo!
I'm really excited for episode 2.
We did it. I feel like, at least for us anyway, we got kind of a high bar to meet from the first.
Oh, yeah.
episode. If you guys didn't see that one, we covered, one bedroom, had the producer Alok Mishra drop in on us and say what's up, give us an impromptu interview. If you hadn't caught that, you can always go back and watch it on our YouTube or our Facebook. But that was a great first episode. Awesome way to kick off the show. So I'm excited to come back and do this again. We'll see if anybody from the lodge drops in. Not going to get my hopes up too high, but I was definitely simping on Twitter, tagging everybody, trying to see who might be interested. So if anybody from the lodge is watching, holler at us. Come hang out. Let's have a good time. Where are you at, Alicia Silverstone? I know you're out there. I know you came on Silverstone. But no, welcome to Reely Scared. It's a horror movie podcast. This is episode 2. We stream every Thursday, at least tentatively for now, 8 p.m. Obviously, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Got a pretty decent show tonight. I think we got a lot to talk about. A lot of news, which is very good to see. We're going to chat a little bit about some of the movies that have scared us in our lives, whether it was recently or when we were kids, doesn't matter what it was. And then we are going to have kind of a review conversation about new film The Lodge, which is streaming on Hulu. If you haven't seen that already. But first, just to kind of warm up, I think a good way to start these shows off is just to talk about what we've been watching in the past week, which doesn't have to be restricted to horror, just whatever you happen to be watching. So I will pose the question to you, sir. What have you been watching?
All right. Let's see. What have I watched recently? I'm trying to think horror-wise. I started rewatching the Resident Evil movies. It's a very low bar
Oh, man.
and quality, but
How's
working
that
at home, I have to have something kind of in the background to set the mood. So I got through 3 of them. They're honestly not as bad as I remembered them to be, which is weird because usually movies downgrade in quality, but I rewatched them, at least the first 3, and I'm like, these aren't that bad.
I've only seen up to the third one's the one where she's in the desert, right?
Yeah.
All right, so I've only seen up to the third one. I know later on, I feel like they get pretty self-aware and
oh yeah,
silly and campy. So I know people kind of enjoy the later ones even more.
Yeah, and then something else I've watched recently. I watched something else scary. But I'm trying to figure out what we're gonna talk about in the future and not talk about.
Right. Yeah, that's the show's kind of been informing whether or when I watch horror movies now because I don't want to.
Yeah.
I don't want to spoil it to burn it out. So,
a good documentary series on Shudder. If you have Shudder, it's a great horror movie or streaming service. Cursed Films. It's a documentary series on films, Hollywood films that are supposedly cursed or had cursed productions. It's very interesting. There's some that I had no idea were cursed, and then there's some that are infamously cursed, but that's very interesting.
That one covered. I've been interested in checking that out too. It covers, I think, Exorcist is one of them.
Exorcist, The Omen, Poltergeist. The Omen I had no idea about, and there's some really crazy coincidences, if you want to call them coincidences, that happen. Someone got decapitated, they shot in Europe somewhere, and someone the prop driver was driving into this town called Omen, Ommen, and was driving behind this truck carrying sheet metal, and he rear-ended the truck, and the sheet metal decapitated him in his car right in front of the sign for Omen. Yeah.
No way.
Yeah.
That's insane. I know they go into the John Landis Twilight Zone incident or tragedy, I guess you would say. And I
have not reached that episode yet.
I've seen people reacting to it that apparently the actual footage of the incident is in the episode.
Oh,
and apparently it's not sanitized or censored or doesn't cut away. It's pretty intense. So buckle down for that episode, I suppose. But I do want to check that out.
What have you been watching?
So outside of horror, because I watched The Lodge, of course, which we'll talk about. But yeah, I haven't watched really anything scary in hopes of saving it. If it's good, I want to have like a real episode about it. That is true. Let's see. Yeah, Don Quixote. Have you watched the new Don? Because that came out already, didn't it?
I have not watched it. I remember it being pretty infamous for all the delays for the last 15 years.
Yeah, like not even just typical production delays. I think like natural disasters and things up into and like deaths of cast members and yeah. I know that's a very famous one. But yeah, so I haven't watched a lot of horror stuff. Last night we went on a little drive-in movie date, which was awesome because obviously none of us have left the house to do anything, let alone go see a movie. I don't think we'd seen a movie since like Birds of Prey in February, so we got to do a drive-in double feature. It was great. It was safe. We got to stay in our car and not have to mingle amongst the unwashed masses. We got Bloodshot, of course, starring my man Vin Diesel, which look, I know they didn't do super well critically, and no, it's not a traditionally good movie, but it's a Vin Diesel vehicle.
It's entertaining. He
punches people, they go through walls.
Sign me up.
He's bulletproof. He has robot blood. That I don't even know. His blood is made of robots.
Nanobites.
Yeah, he's got some nanobite blood. Pretty good.
And speaking of bulletproof, we saw Bad Boys for Life. Got bulletproof.
Who knew a movie that comes 16 years later would be so good?
It is really good, and I'm not gonna. I won't spoil. There is kind of a twist in it that I didn't.
Oh yeah.
I didn't expect that from my Bad Boys to have a plotty twist, but. Yeah, it was good. It had a good heart to it. Martin Lawrence was hilarious. I'm why did this dude drop off for so long? I laughed out loud 10 times because of Martin Lawrence. He's great. And when I heard they were making a fourth Bad Boys, I'm like, oh my God, really? But by the end of that, I was like, let's go.
Seriously, I really liked Bad Boys for Life. I was surprised how much I liked it. I was 16 years later, new directors. It's not Michael Bay, so how is this really going to be? They did Michael Bay better than Michael Bay does Michael Bay.
Michael Bay cameo was killer, though.
Yeah, that. At
Y'all talking Bad Boys, so I gotta hop in. That movie is the best movie of 2020. As of right now, that.
Yeah, I can't say that. I really like the Way Back.
I haven't seen Way Back yet. I haven't seen the Way Back yet, but that and The Invisible Man right now are my 1 and 2. So, and I agree with you, Martin Lawrence. It was needed, and they did Michael Bay better than Michael Bay, and they did Michael Bay if Michael Bay actually had a heart and could actually direct.
It didn't have the gross bullshit that Michael Bay is so susceptible to.
There wasn't 5 minutes of just footage of women's asses. So yeah.
It's good. Had nice action. Producer Matt coming out from behind the curtain. I imagine anybody who's hopping in right now is like, this is a horror movie podcast. We're talking about Bad Boys.
Bad Boys.
Bad Boys not scary, but it's great. I did also watch a movie I want to shout out. I almost was tense enough to be a horror movie. I almost wish we had saved it, but I was promoting that virtual screening room service last week. I did rent a movie a couple nights ago from the Nightlights virtual screening room. That's the theater based out in Akron, called A Good Woman is Hard to Find. A little indie crime thriller about the single mom with 2 children she's reeling from the murder of her husband, and in the midst of that, a drug dealer forces his way into their home and is holing up inside their apartment and using it as a base of operation because he's hiding from these other drug dealers. Super tense and really good. I think it comes out of Ireland, I want to say. But that was super good, and I rented it for a couple bucks off the Nightlight website. So if I was going to recommend a movie in here, again, not a horror movie, but really tense. A Good Woman is Hard to Find. I would definitely recommend anybody check that out if they need something new to watch.
I got 2 more.
Yeah.
I just remembered off of Showtime, the series called Black Monday, which is about the stock market crash in the 80s. But it's actually really funny. It has Don Cheadle in it. Paul Scheer, and some other people. It's actually really funny. Seth Rogen and Evan Goldberg created it.
Oh, okay.
It's hilarious. It's really good. And then I also saw Fantasy Island.
Oh, I want to see that.
How was it? Should we save it for a true episode?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Really?
Okay.
Yes, save it. I want to know like what you guys think of it, and it would be a really fun episode to actually talk about it. Because yeah,
we'll save the
watch the unrated version.
Okay.
Okay.
Unrated release of Blumhouse's bad horror movies. I guess maybe Matt watched it. I don't know. He's saying it's bad. Would you say
save the comments? I'm not saying anything about it.
Okay, we'll just save it. We'll save it. Blumhouse's reboot of Fantasy Island, the horror movie reboot.
Yeah.
Anything new you watched this past week you want to talk about?
Well, we just watched Good Boys today.
We did watch Good Boys. It was pretty
Very funny.
Oh my gosh, we laughed out loud so many times. Oh my god.
I laughed so hard during Good Boys.
Oh my gosh.
Everything good was in the trailer.
I don't
remember the trailer. That's the thing.
Yeah.
I don't remember anybody talking about cooming in the trailer, which as soon as the kid said coom, I was hooked. I was laughing the rest of the movie.
And I don't remember them kissing the sex doll.
Yeah.
Red band trailers.
I thought the whole premise of like little kids swearing would wear thin pretty fast, but no, they got him to do some legitimately sick shit. So, so yeah, Good Boys was funny.
I watched The Hustle, which I thought
is that the remake
with Rebel Wilson and Anne Hathaway. They're two con artists. And
it's a remake of like a 70s movie, isn't it? The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly or something like that. I can't remember what it's called, but it's actually like a remake.
The Western?
Maybe. I don't know. It had Gene Wilder in it, I think.
I don't know. Let's look it up.
Well, she's talking about the movie with Anne Hathaway and Rebel.
Yeah.
So I don't
I know what she's talking about. It's a remake of something.
Oh, word. I didn't realize.
It's an all-female remake.
Oh, I didn't know that. Kind of
I didn't know that
Ocean's 8 type spin, I guess.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, 1961. Paul Newman?
Paul Newman.
Maybe, yeah. So, yeah, the original was just called The Hustler.
Oh, The Hustler, okay.
And also I watched Cars for the first time. Ka-chow!
So, producer Matt dropping in here. The Hustle is a female remake of the 1988 film Dirty Rotten Scoundrels.
Dirty Rotten Scoundrels. That's what I was thinking of.
Which itself is a remake of the 1964 film Bedtime Story. So, producer Matt coming on.
Thank you, Matt.
Thank you. Okay,
I didn't think it's so cool to have a producer on our show.
Yeah, that was it was a fun, entertaining comedy. I think Rebel Wilson is just hilarious. I love her to pieces. I think it's weird that she's a lawyer. She went to law school.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, she went to law school in Australia. And I've just been rewatching Parks and Rec and Law & Order SVU. That's about it.
Classic shows to just watch.
For quarantine, yeah.
And Jurassic Park with the kids.
Yeah, we did watch, which, you know what a transition. Cabin in the Woods was great.
Aaron!
Cabin in the Woods was great.
Cabin in the Woods is one of my favorite horrors of the like decade.
Let's serve on that.
I've never seen that movie.
Good job. We'll watch Cabin. You'll like Cabin in the Woods. It's pretty.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
It's set up as like the most cliche. Oh, some teenagers go out. Very beautiful teenagers go out to a cabin in the woods.
Is that one Chris Hemsworth?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
And they market it as like this is.
And they like control the cabin, and they like. Oh, I know what it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I know what this one is.
Super good. But you did touch on Jurassic Park, so I'll go ahead and springboard that into some of the conversation we've got lined up today, which is movies that have truly scared us in life, which don't necessarily have to be horror movies. Just any, from your childhood, from recently, just anything that has instilled fear in you throughout your life. Let's talk about that because I think it's very rare and special sensation to get from a movie. And on a horror movie podcast,
Mhm.
it would be good to recognize that and maybe understand some of what makes us tick as a result. So I'll spin it over to the Prince himself first. What he's got lined up for us.
So I was kind of scarred as a child thanks to my grandfather. I think I've talked about it on some podcasts before, but my grandfather has a giant collection of movies. And he actually has so many of them, he has to catalog them into a book. So I've seen like a lot of stuff that I probably shouldn't have at a certain age.
Yeah.
And so I've been scarred at an early age. One of them that there's the obvious ones like Nightmare on Elm Street, Friday the 13th. Those ones, like when I was little, definitely scared me. But one that like I remember having nightmares of and like was arachnophobia.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
With the spiders.
Yeah.
I just remember waking up like a lot, like having nightmares of spiders all over me. And I've like grown a fear of spiders to this day. Like I hate spiders. So Jesus Christ. Yes. Hey, funny story about the turtle scene in Master of Disguise. That was shot at the exact moments that the planes were hitting the Twin Towers on 9/11.
That's true. I've heard that.
That's a very true story. Yeah.
Oh my God.
And so when they announced it on set that happened.
Yeah, and they were like, keep rolling.
Dressed like the turtle man.
What a sad thing.
Do you think
They took a moment of silence and then continued that scene. But yeah, arachnophobia scared me. Truly scared me.
That's a good one.
The Evil Dead, it's campy, but when she's peeking out of that floorboard, that like alone sets me off. What else? It Follows. It Follows truly scares me.
That one got
there's not a lot that's like it's the atmosphere of It Follows that scares me, like not being able to see like the thing that is after you is really scary to me.
Yeah, fair enough.
Mm-hmm.
I did really like It Follows. I don't know if that one had scared me as much. You know, you mentioned, I didn't even thought of this until just now, but they don't really make scary animal movies anymore. That's kind of a thing of, I guess you would say, more of a 90s thing.
Yeah.
Animals coming to eat you. But one that definitely got me as a kid, it's basically a riff off of arachnophobia. I think it was just called Bats. I don't
think I saw them.
I think it's literally just called Bats. And for some reason, my mom let me rent it from like Drug Mart when I was a kid. I don't know why she thought that'd be okay. Because like I think it's the opening scene is like a couple teenagers getting hot and heavy in the car, and the car gets swarmed by bats, and they're like rolling up the windows. So you think like, oh, problem solved, right? They're bats, but no, like they somehow like get into underneath the hood of the car and are like crawling through like the AC system and like bust out of the dashboard. Get attacked by bats. I didn't even realize. I just like unlocked that memory for me by talking about arachnophobia.
Well, don't they say in show business there's like a few things that you don't work with? It's like water, animals,
especially bats.
Shut up. Do you get scared by paranormal? Do you get scared by
any
paranormal
movies from Drug Mart scares me. Drug Mart movie and a Fago, baby. It's the American dream. One of the ones I was going to say.
I thought it was movie and a Peach Nahi.
That's just as good. That's I was gonna. So paranormal. It's kind of weird looking back on it because it's not a movie I now think is particularly scary. But when I first saw Paranormal Activity, the very first one in theaters, there was a buzz around that movie that's kind of rare. It was you wouldn't think of it now because it's such an overdone franchise. There's like 10 movies and they get worse every time. But when that first one came out, there was all this weird buzz because it was like kind of hard to find a screening of it. It had this small release and there was like footage online and there was like dispute on whether it was real or not, which sounds so silly in hindsight. But at the time when I first saw Paranormal Activity, even I don't think I thought it was real, but seeing it in a packed theater going home that night, it stuck with me. And I don't even think it was the ghost aspect. It was just the aspect of being asleep and weird stuff happening around you and you never because I think the scariest parts of that movie are when they're asleep and the footage fast forwards and stuff just starts happening around them, and they don't even know about it.
Yeah, or when they wake up and they notice things. Like the footprints. When they wake up and they see the footprints, that part actually really scared me too.
Yeah. That first Paranormal Activity I still think is pretty good. It's subtle enough. It's cheap but effective and just simple. Sometimes less is more. You just want it to be simple, and it would, you can never recreate it with the sequels as they get more of a budget, and they try to one up the game each time and the stakes, and it gets more and more silly. They got to think of new ways to play with the concept. But that first one, I remember really freaking me out, which is funny now because I don't think back to it as something that would scare me if I put it on today. But that night, especially, Paranormal Activity scared me. How about you? You got anything you'd like to shout out?
When I was little, the Dark Crystal scared the shit out of me. Oh my God. I won't watch it to this day. I will not.
Yeah.
Those bird puppets. Oh my gosh. They creep me out. I just can't. I could not. They, like, when they stripped that bird naked and they started torturing I was just like, this ain't for me. I stopped the movie. I didn't watch the rest of it. I couldn't do it.
Puppets are creepy. Those are good movies, like Dark Crystal and Labyrinth, the weird Jim Henson stuff. But Dark Crystal is definitely, there's just it's so uncanny and weird. The fact that it is all puppets. I feel like because there's not a single human that ever shows up throughout the whole movie. It feels like a fever dream, It's so bizarre.
And I think the last time that I actually felt real fear was when we went to the movies and we saw Crawl and
more scary animals. You're right. It's a good point.
See, Crawl was great.
Crawl was solid.
I had to lift my feet up from the floor.
What's up, Brandon?
I had to lift my feet up from the floor, and I literally turned to Taylor and I looked at her and I was like, listen, I'm not having a good time.
No, you're underselling it. She grabs me and goes, I am not having a good time at that volume in the theater at the alligator movie.
What was that one 4D movie at one of these theme parks where the bees swarm you and you can hear them?
I feel like that was a Muppet thing.
Yeah, it was a Muppet thing, but it was at a theme park. That one, when the bees start swarming, I lost it because I have a very, in my sense, it's a very rational fear of bees. I fucking hate bees. Yeah, and now with the murder hornets, I'm done. I'm never leaving the house. But when I started hearing them, I would hide under the seat.
Oh man!
And then after the bees, there's the spiders, and then it blows air and you. So I was jumping from the floor to the standing on the seat in the theater. That scared the shit out of me too. And it was a Muppet movie.
Dude, it's very curious. Dude, you and I feel like we're just on this weird wavelength.
Oh yeah.
Where we're just we just walk the same path in some weird respect. Because we're talking about the same thing. I definitely, as a kid, lost my mind in a 3D Muppet movie.
Yeah, no, I'm pretty sure it's the same one.
Was it like a pirate one?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I love that one though. I love that one. That was about the boy that went on
Muppets Treasure Island.
Muppets Treasure. I have that one on VHS.
This is the best horror movie show of all time.
I have it on VHS.
They did a home release of the 3D movie?
Not the 3D, the original.
So the movie was released in 3D in some places, but it was an actual theatrical release that wasn't only 3D.
Yep.
But yes, that movie is terrifying. I've been sitting over here trying to go through our whole because Connor, you've seen my dad's movie collection. I'm trying to find one of those movies that creeped me out as a kid. I do have one though, The Hunchback of Notre Dame.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
No,
movie's fucking creepy.
I feel you, man. You never know what's going to scare you as a kid. It can still be a kid's movie because one of the first things that ever scared me was Sid's toys in Toy Story.
Oh yeah. Yeah, the baby doll on the metal tarantula scared the shit out of me.
Baby on the spider legs.
Yeah.
Fucking pansies.
See that? you're totally right. We were on the same wavelength, like just in separate parts of the state. It was weird. It's weird, and then somehow we kind of like just met and followed the same path.
3D and 3D/4D was rough for me in general.
Oh yeah.
Not only the Muppets one. It's so funny, dude. I can't believe I met somebody else who was scared of the Muppet 4D because it was intense. But
yeah.
Also, when I saw the Terminator one in Universal Studios.
Oh yeah.
And that one's actually scary because there's real people in the room with you.
And then you see him come out from like the corner, and you're like, "Oh god!"
Yeah, like people come in, they like drop in on rappel ropes, and and they're shooting blanks, and there's a Terminator flying out of the screen, and yeah, man, Terminator 3D messed me
absolutely.
I wish I could go back and see it again because I don't think they do it anymore.
I did that when I went to Universal with our mutual acquaintance Drew.
Yeah, I
went to Universal with him, and we went to the 3D Terminator. Doesn't really hold up. No,
that's a shame.
When I think when I was 5, my stepdad put on, I always forget the name of this movie, that alien bug movie with Star Troopers or something.
Starship Troopers, yeah.
That movie when I was 5.
Not a kid's movie.
Not a kid's movie.
Denise Richards, though.
That was the first movie I saw boobs in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it might be the same for me. It was that or Titanic.
Yeah, same. Yeah. It's either that or Titanic. Yep.
That's some good classic boobs.
I'm glad we could all share that together.
Connor, full bub.
Full
show bub.
Show bub. Full hog. Full hog.
Yeah, I feel like
it had bub and whole hog in that movie.
Somebody go full hog in Starship?
Yeah, the shower scene.
Really? He drops. You see full.
I'm pretty sure he drops trow in that.
You get full throttle?
I think so.
Shoot, we're gonna have to rewatch that. I feel like a lot of people saw Starship Troopers when they were young because like it doesn't all prepare you for how intense the movie is, which is like a harrowing satire of the horrors of war and the meaninglessness of it. But it's like space bug movie, and you watch it, it's just like a nightmare.
I have nightmares. It's bad.
Yeah, that one was good. One of the earliest ones is I'm gonna mostly go back, I guess, to stuff when I was younger because it's just different when you're young, man.
Yeah,
the line between what's real and what isn't and what's possible is very thin, and your way you interpret stuff is just different. Jurassic Park messed me up as a kid. It was like a movie I couldn't stop. It was like my movie that I watched all the time and ran down.
Yeah.
But the Velociraptors, I was irrationally afraid of the Velociraptors being up in my room waiting for me when I went to go at night.
Go ahead, sorry.
I would just be, the kitchen scene, they can open doors, they'll find you. I was so fascinated with dinosaurs. I thought I was going to be a paleontologist when I grew up. Dr. Alan Grant was my idol. But I always knew those raptors were waiting for me in that movie, and I thought they'd be waiting for me when I went upstairs. So I was horrified of raptors. I knew they were extinct, like even outside of the context of it was a movie, I was like, they are extinct now, but they were real.
He's still scared of them.
The part where he drops the shaving cream can, like the fake shaving cream can.
Oh yeah.
And then like they just like spray that shit on him. That part terrified me.
Oh yeah.
I can hear Wayne Knight screams to these days.
Yeah. Yeah, that part actually scared me. As well as the kitchen scene, but that scene in particular really terrified me. Okay. I don't know why they were like these little things, but when they like sprayed that like tar type shit on him, I was like, nope, not so cute anymore.
No,
you got to be nice to dinosaurs, or they'll spit toxic goo into your eyeballs.
Yeah,
that's the lesson you have to learn.
Oh yeah.
Trying to think of anything else. Oh, a little bit older than young childhood, but I would always do this very silly thing when I was probably like 5th grade, 6th grade age, where I finally got a TV in my room, right? Which was like this magical occurrence. TV in the room, can watch whatever I want. But I was supposed to always turn it off at a certain time and go to bed. Obviously, I didn't always do that. I'd sneak it on, turn the volume down, put captions on or something. But I would always watch a program called Big Chuck and Little John, showing up on Fox 8 every night. Real events. I'm trying to think.
Ted Bundy tapes.
Ted Bundy tapes. See, that's a little different, I feel, because those are all very rational fears. Because
oh my god,
it's a little more rational than velociraptors, which historically speaking are real.
They are real though.
But Ted Bundy is much more.
I have a weird occurrence for like something that's like based off real stories. It was called the Poughkeepsie tapes, and I remember being in the theater and seeing the trailer for it, and I was terrified of the trailer. And I spent like the last like probably 10 years, maybe like 12 years trying to find this movie. I forgot the name of it. And then I like started like researching like what was this movie, like it's spying on this person in this house and like crawls up in the crawl space and finds all these tapes. And then I finally like found it. I found it online and I watched it and I was like, this movie's fucking garbage. Yeah. But I was so terrified of just the trailer. The trailer scared the shit out of me.
Yeah.
What is it? Poughkeepsie?
The Poughkeepsie tapes. Yeah.
Yeah.
I had the same experience. That trailer showed before something. I can't remember what it was.
Yeah, I can't remember what it was.
And then it just never came out. But that was the concept. It was like, oh, we found a bunch of hidden tapes from a serial killer, and we cut them into a movie, and we're going to release it. And again, I was young enough to be like, wait, really?
Yeah, same, yeah.
You can do that? And then it never came out. And then, I remember I found a copy of it via, I'll just say, anonymous image board website. And then it ended up not being a great movie, but just the hype. Sometimes the marketing and the hype of something is enough.
Yeah.
Let's see, Texas Chainsaw. Yeah, that one's a classic. That was to what I was saying before. I would watch Big Chuck and Little John on Fox 8, which was kind of a horror movie host show. So it's like, Elvira or like Ghoulardi, or like now they have like the Mummy and the Monkey show, like. They'd host it. They'd always show like a midnight movie, like something you couldn't play on like regular daytime broadcast hours. And that's where I would always stay up a little too late. I wouldn't turn the TV off, and I'd get exposed to something like Nightmare on Elm Street for the first time.
Oh God!
And what would always happen is I would lose the remote, and I would if I wanted the movie to turn off, I would have to get out of bed and walk over there and turn it off, and I would become petrified and too scared to do it. So I would just be held captive by the TV all night watching. Nightmare on Elm Street was one that really hit me hard. I was always afraid of Freddy growing up. Candyman messed me up. From the very first scene where he shows up, Candyman destroyed me. And
Candyman is one that actually scares me. I tried watching it not too long ago, like when the trailer for the sequel, like the new one came out. Yeah. And I tried watching the first, like the original again, and it was like probably midnight or something. And there's a certain, I can like watch up to a certain point, and then like I'm like, no, this is too scary. Like it scares me to this day. Yeah, Candyman is terrifying.
I remember like back in like summer camp, like everyone would go in the bathroom and like close the door and turn off the lights. And they would do that in the bathroom. Yeah. They would do the Candyman thing, and I was so scared that he would show up.
That's something else I can thank my grandpa for. Is scarring me. Oh. Is showing me Candyman. Like we would spend weekends at our grandparents' house, and he would just like show us all these like we started with Nightmare on Elm Street, and then Friday the 13th, and then the Halloween movies. Then we moved on to like the lesser known ones like Candyman and all those. So he was like, I'm gonna fuck these kids up.
Oh man, I grew up with like Lord of the Rings.
Still pretty intense, depending on how old you are. The Nazgul, not messing around.
Walking trees. I can't look at trees the same.
Gollum was fucking creepy as hell.
Oh man, Serbian film. Connor, have you seen Serbian film?
Yes, I've seen Serbian film.
Yeah, so I did go through a phase with a friend of mine where it was like, let's look up the list of the most disturbing movies ever and let's watch all of them.
Serbian film. You have Martyrs.
Centipede. That has to be one of them.
And then Slaughter Vomitals.
Yes, I've seen that one. There's one, I think it's like August Underground or something like that is one that's usually on there. I've seen the Serbian film.
What is that? I've never heard of it.
It's just like an exercise in how grotesque and shocking and edgy can we be. It's like, I can't remember. It's about like a porn star, I think, who gets hired on to start doing like these weird porn gimmicks that get increasingly intense up to the point where, and there's no real easy way to put it. He basically has to have sex with an infant, and it's just gross.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's not. I wouldn't say it's scary. It's just like an endurance test. It's like from a production standpoint, it's like kind of a well-made movie, which is unusual for what you're like these disturbing movies, which are usually some weirdo with the camcorder, like Harmony Korine making trash humpers. Like it has like, it's like an actual movie, but not a good movie, I wouldn't say. Which I guess is probably not that controversial to tell you the movie about having sex with an infant is not good.
That's not art.
Yeah, it's just let's be edgy for the sake of being edgy, which doesn't really do much for me.
However, Martyrs is very disturbing and actually very good.
Yeah, Martyrs does end up on that list a lot, and I like that. Raw, I did like. I don't know if I would say it scared me, but I thought it was a very well-made film. I definitely enjoyed it. I think Raw was one of those ones that was kind of it was
hyped up. They were like, people are puking in the theater, like we're Alamo Drafthouse is giving out like barf bags. And I watched it and I was like, this is gross, but it's not the grossest thing I've seen on screen.
Right.
What was so gross about it?
It's a cannibal movie. It's about this like vegetarian or vegan girl who goes to a vet college, and part of like the hazing ritual for a sorority is she has to eat a slab of raw meat, and after that she gets an insatiable hunger for raw meat and flesh, and she starts wanting to eat people and chew on them, and starts chewing on herself, and it's a good movie. It's definitely good, and it's intense, and it definitely is captivating, but I don't know if it scared me. It definitely didn't make me throw up or pass out. I'll at least say that much.
It's just makeup.
Yeah, and I'd seen more gory stuff before, I suppose. So I guess
I would say the Green Inferno, which is I saw Eli Roth brought up earlier. Like Green Inferno gets me kind of queasy in the stomach.
Yeah.
But like I thought like Green Inferno was more like gross and disturbing than Raw.
Yeah, we talked about it last time. The last movie I can think is giving me a physical reaction as far as disgust or cringing was Gerald's Game. The phrase de-gloving will haunt me for all my days. That is never one encounter again.
For me, it was honestly Midsommar, which we have the watch along of me and Chris freaking out during that movie. We barely made it through it. Like it was not a fun ride. So.
What?
So Matt's not really into horror movies, but I think it's worth saying neither are you.
I'm not. No, Matt. I'm on the same boat. I don't do well with horror movies, but I thoroughly enjoyed Midsommar.
I'm not saying I didn't like it. I'm just saying it was one of those ones that like I was close to vomiting during because of
Paige. Me too. Girl power.
It's very girl power.
I think me and Taylor like discussed doing a Ari Aster double feature review.
I would
coming
love
up,
for you guys to do one on the channel, do a live stream of it. Go right the fuck ahead. Pardon my language. I got to start practicing not cursing for other shows we have. So
should I not curse on this show?
Oh, no. Like a show like this is fine, but like for example,
this is R-rated.
For example, like Saber Reels. I got to try not to curse on that because Star Wars is for all ages. So you got to try to not curse on that. And then Spin from the Reel, which Chris and I are doing a live episode for tomorrow. Christian Harloff is trying to make the Schmodown more family friendly, and he doesn't want to curse on his show. So we've discussed we don't want to curse on our show. So
not on this show. We talk about Serbian film, trash humpers, cannibalism,
and fucking babies apparently.
Yeah.
So can we curse?
You can say whatever.
You can say whatever the fuck you want.
Okay.
I'm gonna get more wine. I'll be right back.
All right.
Okay.
I will. I see Aaron in the chat here.
Hey, Aaron.
I definitely agree. Jaws.
See, I don't know about you guys, but one of my fears is that even I have never seen Jaws, but I can't swim in
Wait,
water.
You haven't seen Jaws? Taylor, it was on the big screen downtown this past summer, and you didn't take her to see Jaws?
This summer.
So every summer, for people in Cleveland, every summer, Playhouse Square does this thing they call Cinema at the Square, where they show old classic films on original prints on the big screen. We took Nick, and we still need the Nick's Blast from the Past review on it. But we took Nick. That was his first time seeing it. Hey, Connor's back. But yeah, Jaws. Seeing Jaws, like Nick even said, that was a very cool experience to be able to see that for the first time on the big screen. So,
I gotcha.
Okay,
I missed that. We were still too busy kissing.
Yeah, I saw last year the big ones that they had for me at least were Jaws and Princess Bride. A couple years ago they did Breakfast Club. They normally do like at least one horror movie, but they did Back to the Future their one, so that was cool. Unfortunately, there will be no Cinema at the Square this year because of COVID, but
yeah,
it's always a fun date night, and I have free tickets because we're Playhouse Square for season ticket holders. So
maybe I haven't seen Back to the Future.
Aaron, I Saw the Devil, fantastic.
Yeah, great Korean.
I'm just gonna
go back behind the curtain.
Yeah.
Great Korean flick.
Yeah,
just violent and harrowing and just leaves a mark on your soul. We're going to talk a little bit about Korean film.
Like when Netflix first came out, they had like Old Boy, I Saw the Devil, and then there's one more. And I watched all of those, and I was obsessed with them. I watched them so many times. I would show anybody that like came over, like, I watch these movies now. I
think they had also Memories of Murder from good old director Bong on there.
Yeah.
Who's obviously the big man on
Bong Hive Unite.
That's right, Bong Hive Rise Up, baby. So yeah, Koreans know how to make some intense film, which we will talk about.
Yeah.
Maybe is that the logical transition point, getting some headlines?
Oh yeah, let's get into some headlines.
All right. We've got plenty to talk about, which is really encouraging because I wasn't sure at first, if week to week we would have a lot to talk about. Oops, showed that a little too fast.
I'm fine with that.
I didn't think week to week, I don't think of the horror genre as really having a ton of news every single week, but we have a big list of stuff to talk about. So it's really encouraging to see. We'll start off here. I gave it away a little bit, but Dakota Johnson did just sign on and get attached to Olivia Wilde's new thriller titled Don't Worry, Darling. She's going to be in it with Florence Pugh. Shout out Pugh. Chris Pine, our man. And then, right there in the picture, Shia LaBeouf. We're definitely in the LaBeouf renaissance right now.
Oh, yeah.
So you love to see it. Don't really know widely what the plot is, but it's supposed to take place in the 50s. It's going to be a thriller in some sort of utopian society in the Californian desert. That to me, that sounds like it's going to be a trippy ride. That sounds like some sort of cult movie. If I got to be honest, we are going to talk a lot about cult movies on this podcast. I feel we're going to get to the Lodge later tonight, and that's what we were talking about last week with One Bedroom. So looking forward to that. That is written by Katie Silberman, who also wrote Olivia Wilde's last feature, Booksmart, which was awesome.
So good.
Not a thriller by any stretch, but an awesome movie. And she also wrote Set It Up, which personally I liked a lot. The Netflix rom-com with Zoe Dush.
I love that.
Oh, I have not seen that, but I heard it's like one of the like better romantic comedies.
Lucy Liu.
Yeah, it's pretty good as far as a rom-com goes.
I'll have to check it out.
It's so cute.
But I'm really excited for this. I love Booksmart. I thought it was hilarious. Olivia Wilde blew me out of the park as a first-time director.
Yeah,
that movie had a lot of heart, and it was smart, and it was funny, and I'm excited what she does with this one. I love Shia LaBeouf. His last couple movies have blown me away. Peanut Butter, both of them actually made me cry. Peanut Butter Falcon and Honey Boy both made me sob like a little child.
I still need to watch Peanut Butter Falcon. I have a copy.
It is beautiful.
I know
it's fantastic. And Honey Boy,
top 5, both top 10 films of last year easily.
Yeah, Honey Boy was beautiful. He wrote that in rehab and played his own father in it. It was He's fantastic. I can't wait
Sorry, Aaron.
to see this, especially with him being directed by Olivia Wilde. It's going to be fantastic.
Yeah,
and it got a different vibe, it seems, for sure, from Booksmart. But Booksmart was so well made for what it was, this coming of age comedy. You know, I'm totally fine with seeing her transition to a different genre.
Yeah.
And then we talked about last week, like there's like this like commonality between comedy and horror.
Yeah,
people in the comedy world transition very easily to the horror world, so should be an easy transition for her. What were you gonna say, Jess?
No, I just said it was very tasteful. I mean, look at John Krasinski to A Quiet Place.
Yeah, exactly.
that's true. I hadn't thought of that one. Yeah, I don't know. You just know how to make people laugh. You know how to make them scream too, I guess. So, it's a special gift. This one pretty new here. New Mutants.
Finally.
With its fourth release date?
It is its fifth release date officially.
Holy cow.
Fifth release date. So yeah, we were supposed to see this thing back in April 2018 originally.
Yeah.
Got delayed allegedly so they could do reshoots, I guess, to make it more horror influence. But now I think the directors come out and said, like, no, it's pretty much the same movie. The reshoots weren't that big of a deal.
They didn't do any reshoots. He's come out and said we did 0 reshoots.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
So they so now
because they couldn't get Macy Williams like on.
Well, not only that.
schedule.
So Connor and I were talking about this beforehand. It was a matter of, basically, what Fox was meddling. That's what ended up happening before, and Fox wanted it to get toned down apparently. So with that in mind,
turn it up.
Oh, they wanted it turned down.
It seemed like you would think the studio would want them to tone it down, but I'd recalled reading that they wanted to ramp up the horror element after they saw how big of a
I read the report that Disney was like, no, go back to your original vision.
Yeah, I didn't see that report.
Yeah, that was the report that came out when they actually scheduled it before COVID happened.
Yeah,
and they were like, we're set to this date. We're gonna stick with Josh Boone's vision as a young adult horror film. We're gonna keep it scary. We're not gonna tone it down. We're gonna stick to his vision. That was the report, and he said, and we're in a time where directors aren't afraid to say like, yeah, this isn't my movie, or they just won't say anything at all. But he was like, this is definitely like, I'm very happy my movie is coming out.
Yeah. I hope it still has that horror influence. I mean,
me too.
I remember being creeped out by that fucking trailer with "We don't need no education" as the background music. And
the images we got recently look terrifying with the demon bear and the Mr. Smiley or whatever his name is. Yeah, like that. Yeah. It's scary.
I just watched the trailer today for the first time.
Which one? Because there's been like 3 or 4.
They've been marketing this movie for like 2 years.
See, I didn't even know. I knew that there was going to be a movie that was going to come out, but with all the X-Men movies that have been coming out, I didn't think anything of it. I was just like, oh, great, another X-Men movie that's coming out or whatever. But I didn't think anything of this context. So when Taylor told me that this was something that we were going to be talking about, I was like, well, I should definitely watch it. So when I watched it, I was like, whoa, fuck.
Well,
what I thought it was going to be. It was totally, it looked absolutely terrifying. I was scared. It's not what I want to watch.
Well, and you're nailing exactly why. This is probably one of the few things I'm upset is going to be the fallout of the Disney Fox deal. Is originally Fox was planning for this to be this young adult horror just franchise and branch away from the X-Men movies we know and we've had and turn this into what we had, into like what we were having now. And unfortunately, now that Disney owns it, we're probably not going to see that.
Well, here's my thing. I'm interested to see if, since they're sticking to a theatrical release, if they are kind of set on making this the springboard for the mutant universe in the MCU. If maybe they tweaked it a little bit to make this like the springboard for that mutant world and introduce it into the MCU, maybe we will get a second one. It's interesting that they're not just putting it right to streaming. For a movie that's had 4 releases prior to this one, it's interesting that they're like, no, we believe in it. We're going to, once theaters get back up and running the next month, we're putting it out.
Well, and some people have argued. Go ahead, Jess.
Sorry, I think it's smart, honestly. If it's different than any of the other, Marvel X-Men movies that they've had in the past, it's smart for them to wait for it to go to the big screen.
And I'm so happy that it's going to be scary. It's so different.
It looks so different. I mean, I tried to see if any of the names sound familiar,
Well, to me, because I read comics, but that's just because I'm a geek.
but you know what? Even if you are into comics, I mean, they've made so many X-Men movies that it is still a deeper cut. It's none of the obvious ones.
It is a very deep cut, but that comic line is a very popular one. Mm-hmm. If you do read comics or have read comics, a lot of people love that Demon Bear storyline.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. And the names and the superpowers did not look familiar, so it looked very different.
And you have to remember, without this comic line, we don't have Deadpool. So
I'm just ready to see Anya Taylor-Joy get a big damn sword and go fight a big damn demon.
Yes.
That sounds good. I agree. The fact that they're committing to putting us on the big screen, Disney, it would be so easy for them to just put it on Disney Plus or put it on Hulu or
a la Hamilton.
In the last month, put it out on demand for $20. It'd have been so easy for them to do any of those things. So.
Especially if it didn't have an impact on the future of that world.
Right.
I feel like if this was it, like they would just be like, we'll just put it on streaming. We'll just put it on VOD.
At the same time, you got to remember, Disney, for the most part, has pushed back the majority of their slate. So in these coming months, where there's not going to be a ton out there, why not take a chance and put this as one of your first features back? Because you're probably going to have a chance to make.
They
more
already
money.
do have one. They have one with Mulan coming out in July.
But other than Mulan, this is the next one after that. That's what I'm referring to.
If it does well, if people dig it, if it makes money, there's no way the mouse ain't piggybacking this into the universe. No way. So
people have been begging for this. They're definitely going to make this go further. I don't see this being a one-off. I definitely think they are invested in Josh Boone's trilogy idea. I feel like they're going to work with him to try to fix it and make it mold into the MCU. And I think he will make it work.
Yeah. I hope so, because I mean, if it really is a true, because I feel like we've been duped before of like, this Marvel movie is going to be different. It's going to have a different style. And you watching it's like, nah, this is a Marvel movie. If it really feels like a horror movie and they actually diverge from the formula and make something a little more creepy, I would love to see that. And so I hope they stick with it. The question at this point, I think, is it actually going to come out on August 28th? Because I feel like theaters
I think it will.
But I could see that getting pushed back even further. And if it does, I feel like New Mutants is going to come out even later.
I hope it's not like Sucker Punch.
Oh, on that note, I'm dropping it.
Matt goes back behind the curtain. Doesn't like Sucker Punch.
I think it keeps its August release date, and I really believe that it's going to be good.
I hope so.
Me too.
I'm definitely looking forward to it at the very least. Something else looking forward to. We will talk about this man a lot on this show. We did it last time too. Not only Stephen King, but Mike Flanagan just signed on to adapt the Stephen King novel Revival.
Two of my favorite names in the horror world.
Yeah, you can't get away from them, so it's a good thing we like him. He's attached to adapt it with the option to direct. I've not read Revival before.
I have not either.
Yeah,
but I'm going to now. I'm probably gonna order online the book and read that. I did the same with Outsider.
Yeah. And Outsider was terrific.
Yeah.
That's another movie I watched this week. Misery.
That's true. Yeah, I just saw Misery for the first time. We'd watched season 2 of Castle Rock together, so she saw Annie Wilkes that way, but she got to see the true Annie Wilkes with that's right, the King.
Yeah.
The King, true Annie Wilkes smashing
ankles.
Yeah, breaking ankles, baby. Yeah, so that was a good classic to experience together. You've been Stephen King used to be like a curse word at the start of our relationship. I can just remember being in the theater and a trailer for Dr. Sleep came on and it said, from the mind of Stephen King, and she was
like, "Fuck this."
She said, "Oh, fuck it. That's enough already.
I was like, fuck.
Did you actually watch Dr. Sleep?
No.
She's also not seen The Shining, so we've got work to do there.
Yeah, there's a 6-hour trip for you. Watch them.
Yeah.
I told him that I would actually watch The Shining with him.
Yeah, you're
a hard no is it.
Yeah,
that's a hard no.
So Really Scared watch along of it with Jessica, right?
It's not gonna happen. I can promise you that.
It's not gonna happen.
Why?
Absolutely fucking not.
Why?
Because
Machete's It's are probably in my top 5 horror.
Yeah,
I count them as one movie.
Yeah.
I can testify you will not get this lady watching Pennywise the Clown, all right?
Why?
No.
May I ask why, Jess?
Doesn't like clowns.
I'm absolutely terrified of clowns.
I hate clowns too, but I
hate them
Andy
too.
Machete's It.
My buddy John Krajnik hates clowns, loves it. Like you just take a few drinks, take a few shots, whatever you gotta do, calm yourself down.
I don't drink.
Oh,
my sister's the same way. I saw chapter 1 with my sister, and she was literally like the whole movie, the whole like 2.5 hours. She was like, "No, I'm not."
I remember when I got the screening, you were living for it.
Those It movies are pretty. Second one didn't like it as much, but
I love the second one for different reasons. Like the Paul Bunyan scene. I love the Paul Bunyan scene.
See, there are parts of the second one I loved. I did not like the second one as a film.
I think Bill Hader.
Bill Hader was my favorite part. Bill Hader was, but like I felt James McAvoy wasn't doing it for me as Bill.
I don't know. I love the second one just as much as the first one. As a whole, as chapter 1 and 2, I love them all equally.
Yeah, we got my little brother to watch it, and he screamed like a little bitch. It was hilarious.
Let's get back to Revival. That's the one about, isn't it like a priest or something?
Yeah, it's about a minister who, I just read the synopsis of it. So it's about a minister who has some peculiar obsession with a young man.
Yeah.
Like dwells on him and ruins his life and makes him like leave his faith and lose his job. The kid grows up to be a drug addicted rock star, and then they meet again in their late adulthood, and that relationship sends them on some sort of wild ride that I'm sure is terrifying and psychedelic and has psychic kids in it or some shit. It's Stephen King. He's gonna go off the rails at some point, right?
Yep.
So
there's gonna be a part where he's like, I don't know where to go, so I'm gonna do some cocaine, and we'll see where this takes us.
Yeah. I don't know when this novel came out in the Stephen King timeline, so I don't know what he's fascinated with. But I haven't read Revival, so I might have to go back and do it.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna read it.
I'd seen Aaron asked us to rate some of our King novels. As much as big of a fan as I am, I feel like I haven't even scratched the surface still.
Yeah, there's so many of them, but from the ones I read, I would say It for sure is my number 1. And then I would say The Stand.
I still haven't read The Stand.
The Stand is fantastic. And then I would say just because I read it recently, I guess, and it stuck with me, I would say The Outsider.
Outsider's really good, man.
I really liked it out of all of the ones. That one really sticks with me. It's so different for him. It's like this like true crime like story, and then it just takes a wild fucking ride after that.
Yeah. Outsider liked, and I liked. Well, now I don't think it's his most recent because I think he just released his short story collection like a week ago. But The Institute, I'd read.
Yeah, is that the one with the kids with all these powers? Yeah, there was someone at my work that was reading it, and he was obsessed with it, and I was like, I need to read that, and I never got a chance to because the next day we were like, everybody go home.
Yeah, it's good. It feels pretty close, I guess, to New Mutants, but like I said, psychic kids or powerful kids. Stephen King, laid the groundwork for all of us in that respect and genre. So it's him doing what he likes to do. It's about kids with telekinetic powers getting forcibly detained and held in a facility so they can work their powers. It was good. Yeah, it's not even really King horror, but it's definitely identifiably a Stephen King story. So that's good. If you haven't read The Institute, I would recommend it. I'm sure it will be a series or a movie in the next.
I wouldn't be surprised if Flanagan actually makes that into a Netflix series.
Yeah. It might already have been optioned for something too. I probably could pull it up and it would be, but we're talking Flanagan. We're talking adaptations.
Yeah.
We got more
Netflix
news. We got more Flanagan news. He's also adapting Christopher Pike's Midnight Club, which is again a book I haven't read, unfortunately, but I'll
probably read it.
Yeah.
And I haven't read a Stephen King novel since you guys didn't ask me.
Well, we'll start with it.
Well, you got me The Outsider.
Yeah. Well, you can give your review on The Outsider when you finish it. Okay.
When I read it.
Yeah. If it bleeds, that just came out. I'm definitely going to find a copy of that pretty soon.
I heard some of the stories actually scare the shit out of you.
Yeah. An idea I floated when we were first talking about the show, and maybe we'll publicly announce it at some point, was doing a book club aspect of Reely Scared.
Oh yeah.
The titles of his shit.
so maybe that'll be a good place to start. But Mike Flanagan's adapting Midnight Club from Christopher Pike. It's a young adult horror novel about a group of teenagers at a hospice who make a pact that the first of them to die will come back and contact them from beyond the dead. Flanagan, man, he's scooping up all the classic horror and he's just making it something you can watch. Nick wants to do See No Evil watch along with
Kane?
With Glenn Kane Jacobs, the mayor of Knox, Tennessee. Oh, sure. I've actually never seen the See No Evil movie.
I have.
Yeah.
Not bad.
Okay.
For a 2006 horror movie, not bad.
I would love to watch a pro wrestling horror movie anytime. You don't need to twist my arm on that, Degeneration X. But yeah, Mike Flanagan's adapting Midnight Club for Netflix. He's turning that into a series. Dude is just in an unreal position where it's every week he's announcing something.
And I'm on board. You just have to announce his name, whatever it is. I'm on board.
Yeah, seems to have a lifelong blank check on Stephen King. Obviously, he did Gerald's Game, Dr. Sleep, we already mentioned before, did Haunting of Hill House, and he's doing the second season of that, and now he's got these two things as well. So
don't forget Ouija, Origin of Evil. I'm telling you, that movie is fantastic for a sequel to a god-awful movie.
Yeah.
How he made that into something fantastic is unbelievable. He's great.
Yeah, Ouija is good. Mike Flanagan, he's got my attention for life at this point. Did they?
What? What's the King video?
Let's see. Who's he chokeslamming in it? In addition to things getting adapted for a series, R.L. Stein's comic book Just Beyond is getting adapted by Disney Plus. Not a lot of information about it right now, but I just thought that was fascinating that, of course, Disney Plus is doing original programming with Mandalorian and making original movies. Jeff Goldblum showed up and stuff. Had to mention that.
Oh my God, yeah.
But cool that they're doing something that, I think it's a young adult comic series, so I don't expect it to be too hard, but just cool that they're even thinking of making something that's horror oriented.
I loved Goosebumps.
That's what I was about to bring up. Did you guys hear that Goosebumps is getting a revamped, re-updated show?
I won't be. Is it serialized like the old movies?
I don't know.
Because if it doesn't have Jack Black as R.L. Stein, I'm not really that interested.
Me neither.
That was the problem with the second one. They had Jack Black show up for an awkward 6-minute reshoot at the end, and then he bounced. It was. But that first Goosebumps movie is pretty good. It's pretty charming.
It kills.
This is from Deadline on April 28th, 2020. A live-action Goosebumps series based on R.L. Stein's best-selling novels is in the works for the small screen. It's going to be at Sony Pictures, and they're going to develop it into a series. There's no news on if it's going to include Jack Black or anything or be serialized like that. So it sounds like it's just going to be like what it was back in the 90s, which is an adaptation of the books. So
yeah, it doesn't sound like they've casted anything yet. So.
Yeah.
I wonder if it'll be like they go back and just redo the class, like, you know, Haunted Mask and like Monster.
Yeah, I think that's what we're looking at.
Yeah.
Because the thing about Goosebumps is I'm pretty sure to this day they never really stopped putting them out. I think it's been disputed whether R.L. Stine is actually writing them or if other people write them now. But I think to this day they're still putting out Goosebumps books. There's more stories to adapt, I guess. But hey, R.L. Stine's a classic for me. I mean, I grew up on the Goosebumps stuff, which should come as no surprise. I should have mentioned earlier, dude. Goosebumps. I was always hiding under the blanket. That's.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
The Haunted Mask scared me.
Yeah, Haunted Mask. I mean, that one. I'm sure if I watched it as an adult, it doesn't hold up, but mask getting stuck through her head messed me up. That was a horrifying concept as a kid.
Yeah.
So I'm interested in it. You know, it'll probably be playing for maybe a PG-13 at most audience. This Just Beyond series, but there's some precedent for something like that. I mean, there's the Scary Stories Tell in the Dark movie, which I thought was okay.
Yeah.
And has a sequel on the way.
Yeah, they still have books coming out.
Yeah.
Diary of a Dummy is 2020.
Slappy. I know Slappy became like the mascot of the whole thing.
Slappy World.
Yeah, Slappy World is like a sub-series.
That's what it is. That's what they are.
Slappy's, he's just out here doing it, dude. He's Slappy. Classic Slappy, man. He's just
voiced by Jack Black. Like, he was the pinnacle of the first movie, and then they took him out. They didn't even let him. He wasn't even the voice of Slappy in the second one.
Yeah, so the second one felt like some weird, like it would have been directed TV, like Nickelodeon movie or something.
Yeah.
But the first one's good, and those stories are classic. So I'll watch it. I'll check out another Goosebumps series, and I'll check out this Just Beyond thing too, at least to see what the quality is like. This one, you know, no guarantee this is going to be a horror movie because there's not a lot of info about it yet, but more likely it will be at least a thriller. We got a cast listing for there he is, M. Night Shyamalan's next feature, title not released, plot not released, but the cast has been revealed. Eliza Scanlon, who you may have seen most recently in Little Women, Thomasin McKenzie, who was just in Jojo Rabbit, as well as Leave No Trace. Aaron Pierre, who I'm not super familiar with. I think he used to be a stage actor, or still is, and he was also in the Krypton TV show. Alex Wolff, who I feel like pops up in everything these days.
Yeah, I love him.
Most obvious, of course, coming to mind is Hereditary, but I feel like I see him in something like every 2 or 3 months. He's
in that new HBO show with Hugh Jackman, movie with Hugh Jackman.
Oh yeah, Bad Education. He was in that. I forgot about that.
That was pretty good. He pops up in a lot of stuff. And then Vicky Krieps, who was in Phantom Thread, and she was very good in that too. So pretty decent ensemble cast. Again, no plot details, but knowing Shyamalan, it'll at least be suspenseful, a thriller, if not a full-blown horror movie. I don't know if it'll tie into something else he's made. I kind of hope it doesn't. You know, I feel like
I hope it's original. Like, he's been on a hot streak. Say what you will about Glass, I liked it. Everything he's done since Visit, I've loved. I haven't checked out his show on Apple TV. Servant. I haven't watched that yet, but it's on my next to watch after Defending Jacob. But which is also really creepy for like a true crime TV show.
Okay.
With Chris Evans. It's about a kid who's suspected of killing his classmate. Chris Evans is the district attorney who is also the kid who's being accused. He's his dad. And it's playing like the hearing with the dad and then like the real events that are playing out. It's really weird. It's really creepy. It has Bill, the kid who played Bill in the first chapter of it. And he was the alt-right blogger in Knives Out.
And he's going to be what we're talking about later tonight, The Lodge. He's
he's in that too. So it's really good, but Servant is definitely on my next one. So I'm very excited to see what M. Night does next.
Okay.
Yeah, he's had a troubled career, I would say, peaks and valleys of quality with Shyamalan, but love Split. didn't like Glass as much, but I still liked it. You know, I was interesting to see what he was attempting there, and he's got enough credit with me again where I'm like, yeah, I'm open to see what he's coming up with next. No guarantee I won't groan if he has some, you know, ham-fisted twist in it. I'm sure he'll have some kind of twist because he can't help himself, but I'll at least give him the benefit of the doubt. I'll check out whatever this is. It's got a decent cast, at least. It's got that going for it. We do also have Clarice just got a series order at CBS that is a spin-off of Silence of the Lambs, classic film and Thomas Harris series of books. They also added cast to it. Cal Penn, Nick Sandow, and Michael Kudlitz will be joining Rebecca Breitz, who is playing the titular Clarice Starling. I don't know how I feel about this show's existence.
Yeah, I'm with you because I think we both feel the same way about Hannibal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
the series.
Yeah. NBC's Hannibal,
and then he was going to move on to the series about Clarice.
Mm-hmm.
But that's why they didn't continue because they didn't have the rights to it. Isn't that right?
Yeah. Well, there was a couple things. You know, ratings weren't where they wanted it to be. They put it on a weird time slot. It ended up at like Monday nights at like 10 o'clock or something. You know, I'll give them credit. They did 3 seasons of what was a very daring, you know, not typical.
There's one episode that didn't get aired because it was so like graphic and something was going on at that time where they were like, we can't show this.
Yeah. I mean, it was weird. It was surreal. It was violent. And they got 3 seasons out of it, which is, I guess, more than I could have expected. But I loved that show. I would have loved to add more. Mads Mikkelsen, who we love.
Oh yeah.
In this household, we stand Mads.
Absolutely. I'm with you guys. I love Mads.
He was terrific. And you know, I remember when they announced that show, I was like, you're going to do Hannibal Lecter without Hopkins? You're out of your fucking gourd.
And then you see Mads.
Yeah. And then you know what? Now when I think of Hannibal Lecter,
I think of Mads.
I think of Mads. You know, it was a different take.
Perfect.
And what I'm curious about this, of course, I guess it's set 6 months after the events of the Silence of the Lambs. So Hannibal Lecter, you know, is happening. He's out there in the world with Clarice. Like, are they going to bring him back in? I guess if they're setting it after the movie, you know, spoilers for Silence of the Lambs, but he gets out, you know, he's running out in the world, and that's when the book or the film Hannibal happens. You know, they meet back up. So I don't know if he's just going to be some anonymous presence running out in the world and not going to impact the show at all. But I mean, now look to the bar again, Hopkins, but now you've also got Mads Mikkelsen. The bar is super high. You can't just put any schmo in there, dude, to be Hannibal.
Bring Mads back and just bring him back.
Yeah.
I would, you know, on one hand, I want to bring him back, but if it's not going to be Brian Fuller's show, you know.
That's very true. It's not gonna be Mads and Hannibal. It's gonna be Mads and this show. It's gonna be very different. You do have a point there.
It's a shame, you know, because I love that world. I love the characters. I just think, you know, slapping a Clarice label on it, a Silence of the Lambs label on it, and just making another police procedural that's going to get canceled after 3 episodes would be a real shame. But yeah, and that was part of why they couldn't continue with Hannibal, is because they had the rights to all that stuff and the characters, but somebody else had the rights to Silence of the Lambs specifically, so they couldn't do Clarice. Or if they were going to do it, they would have to do like an analog character that wasn't named Clarice. I remember at the time they were talking about casting Ellen Page in the role. So I was so excited, man. That show is an all-timer for me. So to already have somebody coming back and doing that world again and those characters, and it ain't Brian Fuller or Maz, I don't know. It's a sore subject for me.
But you know, I don't know. We get surprised all the time by actors, especially actors that aren't famous. You know, they come into a role, we don't know them, we don't know their talent, we don't know pieces that they have done because they haven't done big roles, and they do things and we're just like, wow, you really shocked us. So
yeah, don't get me wrong, I'm gonna definitely check it out.
I'm
just going in like cautious. I'm going in very cautious.
And then, you know, some people that we think would be perfect for a role, they come in and they do it and they suck at it.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, I definitely will be cautious because one piece I haven't mentioned of this series is that it's being developed by Alex Kurtzman.
Yes, that was one of the original thoughts when he sent me the like notes for it, and it was like developed by. When I saw his name, I was like, "Fucking forget about it."
Yeah, Kurtzman to me is one of those
a cursed name.
He's got a wild body of work, and it's this weird thing where it's like
fantastic. Don't diss Kurtzman.
Will diss Kurtzman.
I will diss Kurtzman all day because anytime his name is on something, I'm like, this is probably going to be bad.
Yeah.
9 times out of 10, I am correct.
Look, the Star Trek movies are good, and I would say that's kind of the bright light in his filmography.
The thing is, he is one of like several names on those scripts.
He's the architect of the Dark Universe,
when it's him and like Orsi or him and like one other name, chances are it's pretty bad.
He's the showrunner on Discovery, which is fucking fantastic also. So
I've heard very polarizing things on Discovery and on Picard.
I will the reason you hear polarizing things is because the issue you have with Star Trek nowadays is their fans are just like Star Wars fans. We want too much of the old shit. Get over it. It's a new time and generation. They got to tell stories in a new and different way to keep the interest and gain new fans. That's why I still love Star Wars. I don't try to bash it.
The curtain. You can't talk about Star Wars on this show.
Hey,
we made a pact that Star Wars is to be kept out of this show.
Hey, I'm primarily talking about Star Trek, but.
If there's a Star Wars horror movie, we will be all over it.
But until then, no Star Wars talk. Get it out.
But no, what my main focus is, I was talking about the fans, not the movies. But that's the issue you're coming across with Star Trek fans. Just want to make that clear. You're gonna hear polarizing shit, but I could tell you because I think CBS All Access is still doing the 30 days free. Both of you guys should hop on that and just binge watch both of those series. Picard first because it's only 10 episodes, but it's worth the watch.
We also made the Amazing Spider-Man movies. What say you now?
I like the Amazing Spider-Man movies. So.
That's true, you did. Those were part of your guilty pleasure.
Yeah.
And
he also made Cowboys vs. Aliens. I dig that movie.
Truth be told, I don't hate Amazing Spider-Man like some people do. But
I do not like Cowboys vs. Aliens.
I like the Amazing Spider-Man movie.
Thank you.
He also wrote the script for the only good Transformers movie, the first one.
And the third one is up there.
No, we can't. We gotta get out.
He wrote the script for the third one.
I
cried really, really hard when Gwen Stacy died.
Fair enough.
Yeah, it's very sad.
I cried very hard.
Nick Malbach is an Amazing Spider-Man Stay Until Death.
Oh, Van Helsing.
And then he's being a cheeky man because there's not going to be a Dark Universe Van Helsing movie.
Because
they nuked the entire concept when Tom Cruise's Mummy did not do as expected, which is an Alex Kurtzman joint.
I would love to do a episode on the report of the walkthrough of the Dark Universe lot with all the empty like offices and studios. I would love to do an episode just based on that because that is terrifying. That report was terrifying.
The rise and fall that occurred within like 3 months of a cinematic universe is, you could probably write a book about it.
Yeah.
And we could probably do an entire episode about it. So,
maybe in the future, why not?
Sorry.
I will. I have been trying to find an excuse to watch Tom Cruise's Mummy again.
All right. Well, you heard it here first.
Oh God, we're gonna watch that.
You heard it here first. We'll do a Dark Universe centric episode at some point, and we don't have much to talk about as far as the actual movies go. So
no, I have one movie.
Only if we can watch Hugh Jackman's Van Helsing.
Sure, we can. Well, I guess we will also probably have to talk about Luke Evans' Dracula Untold.
Oh yeah. All right, we're doing a triple feature. Let's fucking do it.
Because they thought that was the Dark Universe, and they're like, never mind, no, it's not. And they thought the Mummy was there, and they were like, no, never mind.
The cave scene did scare me.
You got to remember, the Invisible Man is set to relaunch the Dark Universe. So.
No, I don't. I think they've completely thrown Dark Universe in the trash, and now they're just making. They're doing those movies, but they won't have anything to do with each other, which is fine because Invisible Man was great, and wow. I would have hate having to jump through the mental hula hoops to figure out how you connect that movie to Tom Cruise's Mummy. Elizabeth Moss in a visible suit fighting crime or some shit.
Elizabeth Moss would win.
For sure. And yeah, you can't beat Mummy with Brendan Fraser. It's gotta be said, and I'll say it till death.
I'm sorry, but Tom Cruise running, that's all I need in a movie.
He is a good runner.
He's very good. He has the very good arm positions to really get that speed going up. I don't know. He has a good running form.
He still runs when he breaks his foot.
Yes. And they keep it in the movie because he just runs so elegantly. He's fantastic. Say what you will about his religion, whatever. I don't care. I love Tom Cruise.
Say a lot.
You can say a lot, and I don't care about any of it. I love Tom Cruise.
You love him enough to redo his Oprah interview?
Yeah, I don't give a fuck.
Do it right now, then. You got a couch.
No, I've had too much wine. Let's move on. Next story.
I don't think you could drink in Scientology. Yeah. So, all right. Yeah, we've said enough about.
All right, moving on.
For one night. Let's see. Oops, I lost it here for a second. Let's see where to go. We had talked about Korean film a little bit earlier. We're going to talk about it again because our boy Ari Aster is remaking a Korean film by the name of Save the Green Planet. This one I think it's back from 2002, 2003. I haven't seen Save the Green Planet. However, anything that Ari Aster is going to attach his name to right now is going to catch my interest, as we've already hinted at. This film, it is about a paranoid, deluded drug addict who kidnaps somebody he believes to be an alien and is plotting the extinction of the human race. And he kidnaps them and tortures them to try to convince them to not wipe out the planet, while a detective is hunting him down because apparently he's done this before. So that's what the film's about. Sounds wild and surreal. Ari Aster's producing it. The director is the director of the original Korean film, which I thought was unusual. Junhwan Jang. He's coming back doing an English American version of a movie he's already made. So that's different. I can't remember really.
The Grudge was the last one I think that did something like that.
That was a remake by somebody who made
by the same director of Ju-on and The Grudge, which we'll probably end up talking about later on.
Yes, we certainly will. So.
He came back to direct the English remake of the film he already made.
Yeah, so interesting. I mean, I'll give credit where it's due that they didn't just plug some American dork who wouldn't know how to resonate with the material, or wouldn't be able to spot out the cultural differences.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, interesting that he'll come back to that project. And Ari Aster, I feel like, is also he's somebody who can do whatever he wants right now, coming off the 2 feature successes he's had. So if he sees merit in making this thing, I mean, I think the original, again, I haven't seen it, but I think the original kind of has a dark comedy vibe to it. I don't know if it'll come back for this or if it'll play it more straight.
I feel like Ari's going to keep that dark comic energy to it, because there was a lot of that in Midsommar. Yeah,
there's a lot of shock humor. Even in Hereditary, that third act, I feel like there's a lot of just it's so absurd that you gotta laugh, and it's totally conscious of making you react that way. So yeah, I could see making something this absurd. I feel like there's gotta be some comedic element still alive in it. So well, I don't know when that's set to come out or start on production, but we got that to look forward to. Save the Green Planet here in America. Something else that we can allegedly look forward to is Nev Campbell is apparently in talks to do a 5th Scream movie. This is obviously distinct because Wes Craven, unfortunately, no longer with us. All right,
rest in peace.
Yeah, rest in peace, legend. She's apparently, from what I've read, been very protective of not doing another Scream movie since he passed. Respecting his vision and his legacy. But I guess studios, they're going to roll on one way or another, and they've attached. Matt Bettinelli Open and Tyler Gillett, who directed Ready or Not,
which is fantastic. It's aces. It's great.
So good.
Yeah, we had a great time with.
I saw it by myself in the theaters, when it first came out, and I had a blast just by myself. I was like, "This is fucking great."
Yeah, a lot of fun, and kind of scary and violent, but also kind of funny, which screams.
Yeah, which is Scream. It has that, you know, that meta humor to it. It's very self-aware. It's also very scary and intense. And I think if there's like a director or directors to kind of give me faith in it, it's them.
Especially that she's apparently, they had a pitch and a take that was interesting enough that she is willing to come along and get attached to it, despite Wes Craven no longer being with us.
And also, Matthew Lillard is also game to return, and apparently they're interested in him returning. There's mutual interest in having him come back, which is very convenient, especially because he's very popular right now. With him on Good Girls, which is fantastic, by the way. Love that series. But he's found like a new fame almost, like with today's generation. And I feel like if they want to get that that Scream fan base back in, not only bringing back Neve Campbell, but also Matthew Lillard, bring him back, you're going to get so many people in there. So I feel like just having her come back is like enough, but without Wes Craven, it's going to be hard to get people to have faith in a Scream 5. But if you bring back Matthew Lillard, people are going to be like, he hasn't been in since the first one, so there must be something special here. Yeah. And I think it'd be very interesting if he came back, especially if they do like a twist where it's, you know, after 4 movies, you know, Sydney's been the heroine, the final girl, if you will. Right. It'd be very interesting if they spin this in, you know, maybe Stu is in prison all this time, comes out, maybe her and Stu team up and they're the actual killers this time around. I don't know. That'd be very interesting to me. I love Scream. Scream is one of my favorite horror movies of all time. It's up there with Evil Dead and It. I love the Scream franchise. Yeah. So I'm very excited for Scream 5.
I think him coming back would kind of have almost this like Halloween 2018, like, you know, Laurie came back and bring Matthew Lillard back. You know, Neve Campbell, you know, not for nothing, but she's been in all of them. So it wouldn't feel that monumental to have her be in this one too. But yeah, having somebody like, I mean, now obviously, as far as we know, he totally died at the end of the first one. Spoilers for the first Scream. But I guess they had planned. I just read this recently.
In the third one, that was Kevin Williamson. Is that his name? The original writer who did not come back for the third one. And that's why notoriously the third one is the least favorite out of all of them, because he didn't come back to write that one, but later to return to 4. But his original idea had Stu coming back.
Yeah. Yeah. I'd read that it was like a twist. He was going to be from prison and like inspiring and instructing like copycat killers to go out and be Ghostface. And apparently they canceled the whole thing because of Columbine. And they thought, you know, having a guy inspire child killers to go out and hunt people down would be in poor taste. So they shafted the whole thing. But yeah, I think that would definitely catch people's interest to see. You know, of course, I want to see Courtney Cox back and David Arquette, but if you get somebody else recognizable, that would be appealing and hopefully would do justice. And if he can come back, I guess you could bring Jamie Kennedy back.
I don't think you can bring him back because he definitely died on screen.
I don't know. He left him. They left. He left another.
No, you're right. They left him in the van. So maybe he did live. Maybe he just moved away. Bring back Jamie Kennedy.
Bring back Jamie Kennedy. All the time, any context. Bring back the experience. Was experiment? What was it? The Jamie Kennedy?
It was the Jamie Kennedy experience.
Loved that shit when I was 8.
Yeah, and I also loved Kicking It old school.
Malibu's Most Wanted, classic Kino. And then I just noticed this. It's interesting that you say that, Brandon. We'll get to that.
We will get to that.
We'll get to that, but that is a sentiment that I definitely feel a little bit. Let's see. We're almost done with our news here. We do just want to talk a couple trailers that came out in the past week.
Excuse me.
First of which was kind of a technicality on horror movies. I don't know if this necessarily going to be one.
Elizabeth Moss.
But yeah, we got a trailer for Elizabeth Moss and Shirley, which is a biopic of Shirley Jackson, who wrote Haunting a Hill House. But just from the vibe of the trailer, it looks kind of intense. I don't really know her personal story, to be honest.
Yeah.
I don't know the circumstances of her life and her career, and I think this is about her writing that book. So I don't know what the backstory is on that, but it looks pretty compelling.
It looks creepy.
Yeah, I just watched it right before we went live, and it what's his name? Michael Stolberg? Is that his name?
Yeah.
Anything he's in, I know it's going to be fantastic.
That's great.
Oh yeah.
His monologue in Call Me by Your Name just brought me to tears. So I'm excited to see him on screen again. I love him. I love anything he's in. So I'm excited for this. It looks very creepy. There's one clip in the trailer where I'm not sure the actress's name, but she's in the back seat, and they do this weird editing thing where her head is moving back and forth.
Yeah.
It was very creepy. So I'm very intrigued.
Yeah, we'll see when the film actually comes out, tonally how it shakes out. But looks like a pretty tense movie for a nonfiction story. And again, Elizabeth Moss, great at playing a unhinged lady who needs some help.
Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
But she can hold her own.
Another one of my favorite Scientologists, Elizabeth Moss.
Oh, I forgot she is a Scientologist.
I didn't know she was.
And it weirds me out because I feel like so many of her roles are like a woman who's vulnerable and on the defense, and something is in pursuit. Handmaid's Tale, Visible Man.
Yeah, it's this woman who's like being forced to do something or think a certain way, and it's her breaking free, and yet she's in this notoriously evil cult.
Yeah. Yeah,
so it's very weird.
I would kind of love to get her just any sort of insight into what her life is like. And what is this?
Do you put in hats like WWE?
Well, we were talking.
No, I'm a poser.
Hold on, I will make this announcement because I have talked to Nick and Chris about this. They have interest in doing a WWE show, and I would like to give them the chance to do this. So if y'all are interested,
pull that up,
go right ahead.
Oh, these folks want to do a WWE show. I thought you were saying right now. I was like, I'm kind of busy right now.
No, I just mean in general, Nick. For Final Buzzer, when WrestleMania happened, they came on and they had instant chemistry talking about WWE, and they've dropped hints they want to do a WWE show. So,
well, at the very least, we have crossover potential with a See No Evil.
Yeah,
that's right.
We got some other trailers. Let's see. We do also have. Now this one came out of nowhere. Unhinged.
Oh, I am all aboard this one. I cannot wait. It looks like Knocked Down in a New Era. That Michael Douglas one.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's what it gave me, like heavy notes of is Knocked Down, but for a new generation. So I'm excited for this. This looks crazy.
Dude, movies are wild, and that where does this shit come from sometimes?
Yeah.
I never heard of this movie, and then it just drops with the trailer, and it's coming out on July 1st allegedly. Like yo, where'd you find this? You know what I mean?
But it's also like you have these ideas sometimes though. Like, have you ever? I know people have thought about this when they're driving. They're like, this person makes me so mad. I'm gonna drive. I just wish I could just drive around and bitch slap them or something.
Oh, that's made up old people every time. Anytime I'm stuck behind an old person.
But yeah. No, I think people have definitely had this thought. I don't think they thought about it to the extent this movie has taken it to.
Yeah,
it's fucking insane.
Breaking into houses and
running people over.
Yeah, and an unusual one for Russell Crowe, I feel. So I love the idea of Russell Crowe getting the script and being like, yeah, I will be in this one. You know what? This is appealing to me. Do a little something different.
He said he don't care about movies.
That's a distinction for that person, I suppose.
All right, we got some trolls in the chat, but let's move on.
Oh.
We're going to talk about On It supplements for the Joe Rogan show. So yeah, I'm looking for it on Unhinged. It's supposed to come out July 1st. I don't know if it'll actually make that release date. It seems a little
optimistic, yeah.
I'm not sure about it.
Or maybe, it comes out and it's the highest grossing movie of all time because everybody is so excited to go to the movies again that they come back and watch Unhinged with Russell Crowe, and it makes $1 billion worldwide. But I got a feeling it ain't going to come out on time. We'll see. Mm-hmm. Lastly, we got a trailer for Ju-On Origins, new Grudge-based Netflix series. Hadn't really heard much about this until that trailer came out, but looks pretty decent. This is an actual, looks like Japanese production, not an American production, so it's going to be more in line with the original films. It's called Ju-On, not The Grudge. So looks all right. What did you think about that?
I'm very interested in this. I did not see the latest sidequel type movie they did that's taking place at the same time as the original. But the trailer for the Netflix series actually interested me. It gives me a lot of hope. The fact that they're not Americanizing it, Westernizing it, gives me hope. It seems like it's going back to that original Ju-On title. So it looks creepy. It looks scary. So I'm definitely going to be checking this out. Was this June?
That's July 3rd is the
July 3rd. Okay, yeah. So I'm definitely going to be viewing it. I'll probably watch it July 2nd at 3 a.m. I'll be watching it.
A good way to experience The Grudge. How do you feel with Japanese horror in general? Which
Ring. There's a couple. I like The Ring.
Yeah.
I liked. That's about it.
Yeah.
I like The Ring. That's really it. I didn't really like any of the other J-horror remakes.
Yeah.
Pulse. Pulse is another one I actually really like. That one actually kind of scared me when I saw it in theaters.
I feel like Japanese horror had a real heyday for a few years there, where it was all about creepy pale girl with long black hair crawling down the ceiling and spooking you. That was the big thing. Then it gave way and became paranormal movies that were more Americanized with Conjuring and Insidious, and that became the new trend. But there was a period there where it was all about Japanese horror, and it kind of went away. I haven't seen all the Grudge movies. I definitely didn't see that one that came out this January. I didn't hear anything that really made me want to mend that. So
I'm probably gonna check it out because I do like what's his name? He was in Searching.
John Cho?
John Cho, yeah, he's in it. So I really like him. So I'm gonna check it out. But I did not hear the best coming out of it. But it'll be interesting.
How do you feel about Japanese horror? Are you freaked out by pale girls with long black hair, or are you just keeping your eye on the clowns?
I don't keep my eye on the clowns because I don't like the clowns. I never got into Japanese horror because I never got into American horror. So I have never seen The Ring. I saw the scary movies. So I saw the
spoofs of them.
Yeah, I saw the spoof of them coming out of the TV, but I never actually watched the movies of them. So I don't think I would. No, I don't.
I like Japanese horror, actual Japanese horror, because it has its own style. It's very atmospheric. It relies a lot on sound.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's very interesting. So I'm just really glad they're going back to that Japanese roots of the original series.
That's funny you say that because that's what The Lodge did. Relied on sound a lot.
Yes.
And what better transition? I feel like
then to go into our review.
Just about to finally get there is to talk about our review portion of the night. We are going to talk about The Lodge. We did switch over to the spoilers. I think we'll wait a little bit to get to spoilers. If you haven't seen The Lodge, it is streaming on Hulu right now, so it is pretty easy to access. It's readily available, and it was out. It had like a brief theatrical run before that, so it's kind of been out there bouncing around. So pretty easy to get to and watch it. So if you don't want spoilers, we'll give you a heads up before we get into them. If you still want to go ahead and check out the movie, but today we are going to talk about The Lodge in the review portion of our film. Again, let me say, Alicia Silverstone, if you're watching right now, you want to come on, shout it out. Reely Scared, Richard Armitage, Jada Martell. I tagged them all on Twitter a couple times. That's how we do it on the show. You just show up in the chat and you get to come in. So if you want to come in, don't be shy. I won't grill you or anything. Let's talk about The Lodge. Before we get into spoilers, Connor, what did you think?
Well, I think I mentioned last week that I saw this movie twice. I actually really, really enjoyed this movie. It creeped me out. I think it's like it starts really early. It actually like something happens and I did not see it coming, and I was like, holy shit, what the fuck? And so from there on, I was just pretty like glued to the screen, and I was anticipating what's going to happen next. I didn't know what was going to happen, but I was very entertained, and I thought it was very well done. I think it's a very smart horror film. It's very atmospheric, and I thought all the actresses did a fantastic job in it. Keo did a fantastic job in the movie. She really gives it her all, and she really creeped me out. Everything she does creeps me out in that movie. So I would definitely say if you have Hulu, you have the time, if you want to be creeped out and sent on a ride, definitely check out The Lodge.
What do you think? I feel like it'd be interesting to pivot to you because I think you got a different opinion.
I didn't really enjoy it.
That seems to be a consensus that I hear.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I was left with a lot of questions. I felt like there were a lot of things that happened or that didn't happen that I wanted to know about. The other house that was out there, what was the point of that? Why was that there? It looked like there was somebody inside the house, but we never got to see them.
It was the dad from her cult.
Oh, it was?
Yes.
Did you know that?
I didn't realize. That's pretty inconvenient.
Yeah. No, they do. For a split second, you see his coat that he was wearing in the footage that the kids watch, and then you can see his hair. I think that scene was really just like her trapped in her mind, really.
Yeah, maybe.
And it was running back to a familiarity in her life, which is something that she was trying to run away from this whole time. So that's what I kind of gained from that whole scene. But at first I was in the same boat, but the second time I watched it, I definitely think it's a movie that warrants a second watch because you pick up things that you didn't catch the first time. Second time I watched it, I was like, all right, I know what this scene is about now. But the first time I watched it, I was like, what the fuck is this? Like, I'm not interested in this scene at all.
Yeah.
But then I watched it the second time. I'm like, oh my God, that's really smart and actually kind of poetic, that whole scene. So
we went back and forth with whether or not we should watch it a second time.
I'd say watch it a second time.
Yeah. So yeah, there was questions I had. I did notice that it relied the sound part I enjoyed about the movie.
Yeah.
The fact that they amplified the sound, a lot of the sound movement. I really enjoyed that, but I don't know how I can expect things to happen in movies. Like I know what's going to happen next. I don't know how. I always do it with movies with Taylor. I'm always like, this is going to happen, and then it ends up happening.
No, I think the confusion is also very fitting for the story.
Yeah.
It puts you in her headspace. She has no idea what's going on. She's, she's very confused.
I couldn't connect with the movie. I think that's why I didn't enjoy it. I just couldn't connect with it, and I'm an empath, so I think that's just why I didn't really enjoy it. Is I just couldn't connect with it with her. Yeah, and I thought those kids were dicks.
Yeah, absolutely. Those kids are fucking awful.
Yeah, we'll get more to the kids, I think.
Sorry.
In
yeah.
I'm getting to spoilers.
Yeah. Well,
but yeah, I just I enjoyed the production of how it was made. I enjoyed that part, but I just didn't enjoy the story of the film.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I would say I liked Lodge. This is, I'm always interested in these types of movies, and I feel like they've been coming out a lot more frequently the past couple of years, which are these sort of on the cusp genre horror movies that you'll look up the reviews of them, and there'll be people over here who loved it, there are people over here who hated it, and there's not a lot of people in between. Whenever I see that, I'm like, all right, I got to check this out because there's something intense going. It's getting an intense reaction out of people who watch it one way or another. We kind of had a conversation right when it ended of would you even really say that's a horror movie, which I feel is like what comes up a lot with something like Midsommar or Hereditary or like something else I can think of like Black Coat's Daughter or The Witch.
It follows.
Some of these are a little more atmospheric and a little more meditative, and the horror aspect isn't quite as literal as something that's, again, like Conjuring or Insidious, which are movies I like a lot. They're just different types of movies. I think of that as like a blockbuster horror movie, and then this is something a little more indie art house feel to it. I like The Lodge. I would say it's a horror movie, but I almost feel like you almost got to come up with a new phrase for movies like this, where it's like I wasn't scared, but I was kind of like dreading or anticipating what was going to happen.
Yes. I felt awful during the whole thing. I was like, I just felt like my heart sinking into my stomach. Like I felt awful even after it. Like it took a lot to watch it a second time.
Yeah.
It took my girlfriend being like, I really want to watch this movie. Can we watch it again? And I was like, yeah, sure. Let's watch it again. Watch it again. Same feeling, but I picked up on a lot, and I enjoyed it a lot more the second time. Okay. I mean, as far as enjoying can go during like a movie that makes you feel so awful, I enjoyed that awful feeling more the second time around, I guess.
It feels weird to say, but I know it just knowing that you perhaps got the intended reaction out of the art piece, knowing that it resonated with you, how the filmmakers wanted it to.
Yeah.
And so just knowing that it's working and succeeding and that you are compelled by it.
Yeah.
It did have that effect on me. It's a harrowing movie. It's heavy and it's dark, and movies like that I don't always rush to rewatch, even if I liked them and thought they were good. But I did think this one was good. Have you by chance, so this is coming from I think they're Austrian, pair of co-directors, Veronica Franz and Severin Fiala. This is, I think, their second feature. Their first is called Goodnight Mommy. Had you by chance seen Goodnight Mommy?
Goodnight Mommy. Which one's that?
So is
that the one where the two kids, like the mom, like, yeah, we watched that together.
Oh, really? Did we?
Yes.
Oh, okay. You were over at my place when we watched that?
Yeah.
Weird. Okay. So yeah, I like this more than that, because the thing with that one was I thought the premise of it was more interesting than what the movie ended up being about.
Yeah.
But this one I didn't know a ton about, which I think these kind of movies, that's always a good thing to not know too much. I'd known it was about a woman, her, I guess you'd say, prospective stepkids getting snowed in a lodge together and not getting along. And
see, I had no idea what the movie was about. I just knew it was about people in a lodge and scary shit happens. Right. I had no idea anything besides that. I just knew they were in a lodge. Same. And it was creepy.
Yeah.
All I knew, because all these reviews I heard about it coming out like earlier this year was like don't look up anything. Like it's one of those movies, if you like don't watch the trailer, just go in go in blind. You'll be surprised. And that's what I did. And I think that's what helped me is because I didn't know anything about it.
Yeah, see, I didn't know anything about it either, but I had the opposite.
Yeah, the
opposite than you did. It's just, for me, it was predictable. It was just like I knew what was going to happen. I just knew what was going to happen next. After a certain point of where the movie got to, I was like, yep, this is how it's going to happen. This is how the movie's going to end.
And I guess because we're talking about that, we'll jump into spoilers. So again, I'll say if you haven't watched The Lodge, and if you are interested in it, I mean, I would hate to suggest don't watch this because we are live, but if you want to watch the movie without spoilers first, I do think it's a movie that is better if you don't know too much. So if you want to go watch it, check it out on Hulu, but we are going to get into spoilers here, which pertain to the ending, and I would say the twist, or maybe both twists in it.
Can I talk about the first thing that happens in the movie, like 10 minutes, 20 minutes in?
Yeah.
And again,
the one that like hooked me, spoilers, when the mom fucking blows her brains out, I was like, like even the second time, I was like, holy shit. Like I'm just never expecting it. Yeah, and like from that moment on, I'm just like glued to the screen. Like I'm like focused.
Yeah.
That scene.
Yeah.
Like fucked me up, and I'm like just there, and then like it's just like a fucking roller coaster, like through the whole entire, like, was it like 110 minutes, something like that, an hour 45 maybe, something like that. But the whole way, even until like spoilers again, the dad being shot in the brains, like it's crazy. Like there's so many scenes in this movie that just like make me like I'm just like, oh.
I know, she wasted that bottle of wine. What the hell?
Yeah.
Yeah, she did open that wine and then just was like, fuck it.
What a fucking waste.
I would have at least finished the wine before, offing myself.
But yeah,
but at least she took her necklace off.
Gosh. But yeah, that was the only part I think in the movie that surprised me, was that part.
It definitely made me gasp. I didn't know that's where that scene was headed.
Yeah, I had to rewind it because I was like, what the fuck just happened?
Yeah.
I was like, what? I thought she got shot.
Well, she did.
No, I thought somebody shot her.
Yeah.
Oh.
Because I didn't see her take it out of her purse and then her shoot herself. Yeah. I was so surprised, but yeah, no, it was fucking predictable. I knew those kids just fucking planned that shit and just decided to make her, when he gave her that cup of tea or hot cocoa and started to pretend to be nice to her, like everything was honky-dory, I knew they were planning on trying to make her go crazy, and they took her to a point of no return, and she lost her shit, and it was their fucking fault.
So yeah, I knew something was up with that cup of tea, but I didn't expect it to go into, they wanted to, scare her. I thought they were going to go more evil with it, but making her go insane was in a completely different direction I wasn't expecting.
Yeah.
In response to Paige, I do really I thought it was well shot. I thought the cinematography was beautiful. They did a lot with that snowy landscape.
Yes, I love a good snowy movie, especially horror. There's just something about that barren landscape, that wasteland feel, the ice. I mean, obviously, you can't not think of, I don't mean to come back to it, but you can't not think of The Shining when you watch this. Yeah. Because it feels, and apparently they weren't, I'd read a couple interviews with the directors, and that one wasn't really present in their mind. They hadn't even truly made that connection, but you can't not be reminded of it. And again, they also harken to The Thing, a great cold horror movie. That scene where they're watching The Thing in the living room, and they cut over to Jack Frost, which
is also a terrifying movie.
Yeah, kind of a horrifying movie in its own right.
And they really I felt cold while watching the movie. I felt like I was there. They even made that cabin feel so cold.
Yeah, which I guess they actually had found that it's a real location, so they hadn't built a set. They actually filmed that whole thing in that house, which was actually isolated. They wanted to make sure there was no roads nearby, that nobody would come by, so they could really get the actors in the mindset of you're alone, you're isolated, and you are stuck with each other. I guess they had Reely Keough like go out and roll out in the woods and get all cold and wet in the snow while between takes, because they just wanted her to feel genuinely miserable and delirious when they got the camera rolling. So yeah, they definitely got good performances out of her doing that. You know, the whole cold, freezing, miserable method thing. Some filmmaker, you know, some people don't like that. You know, again, harkening back to The Shining and the way Kubrick worked and what he did with Shelley Duvall. And that's sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it's a great artistic method, and other times it's kind of masochistic. But I thought they did get a great performance out of her. As far as the twist goes, you know, like really early. So when they woke up and everything was missing from the house, there was no food. You know, my mind immediately went to, oh, they fell asleep with the gas heater on. You know, they inhaled the fumes and they died, and now they're in purgatory.
That's what I thought.
So that's what I thought, and then I thought the rest of the movie would be about them getting to that conclusion and figuring it out. And I was like, oh, well, that's a shame. I already know the twist, and we're like halfway through the movie. So that's the point where I was like, oh, this feels kind of predictable. I actually did not expect you. She definitely, to her credit, she definitely was calling it. I did not expect it to come back the other way around and be some cruel prank on this woman by the kids. I didn't expect it to be like horror story Home Alone, you know?
Because at this point, I was telling him, I was like, these kids are so fucking cruel.
Well, I want to clarify on what I thought was going to happen. I thought they did drug her and they brought the gas heater in, and they were like telling her not to worry about it. And then they were going to, you know, do something to where they can survive, but would end up making her suffocate and like drive her or make her at least delirious and drive her crazy. I didn't know, because like the tea and the gas heater definitely like set me off. I was like, okay, they're pointing this out for a reason, so this is going to come back. And then I was like, oh shit, maybe they really did actually die. And so it sent me on like a couple loops to where I was like, oh shit, is this happening? No, it's probably this. And then like it kept happening until like it was actually like, this is the twist.
Yeah. Yeah. I would love to see the same movie, but completely from the kids' perspective. And it's just about them setting up this zany plan to drive a woman insane.
Yeah.
Because it gets pretty elaborate. They're like staging it in a dollhouse. And
yeah,
I mean, they were like, oh man, this went too far. Your dog is dead. We better call off this prank. But like, you guys were doing like research on the cult she used to be in.
Yeah, you guys were actually like sending her.
I don't think the dog was intentional. I think that was
yeah, because she even says that she left the door open at night on accident.
Yeah, I think that was non-intentional, and you could tell she felt like
yeah, because when she's on the
stairs,
the porch, and she's like crying and holding the dog. The little girl is behind her telling her she didn't mean to, and then like it cuts to her and the brother, and she says it's her fault, she left the door open.
But that was the point of no return. She had already passed that.
She was already like I think the point where it was like no return is when she reached that house in the middle of the snow. I think that was like to signify the point of no return. She's reached that, and she's back to where she began.
Yeah. Right in the throes of her trauma again, trapped in her delusions, going back and thinking the cult she escaped from was actually legit and their beliefs were real. And now she's, stuck in limbo and has to earn her way to the afterlife. I want to know, do you guys have any room for sympathy whatsoever for the kids by the end of the movie?
Oh, fuck no. Fuck those kids.
Yeah.
See, at the start of the movie, like leading up to like the, I guess, turning point of the movie, absolutely. I was like, the dad's kind of a dick for making the kids go through this and like making them stay the weekend with this woman they don't really know. Their mother just killed herself. Like, this is fucked up.
Yeah,
And
unreasonable.
then like there's that turning point. I'm like, I actually feel for this woman. I don't feel for these kids at all. They're irrational. They're dicks. They're evil.
Right.
I feel a lot of sympathy for her at the end of the movie still.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I felt for her at the end of the movie.
Because she was brainwashed.
Yeah.
She probably still had Stockholm syndrome.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then they basically brainwashed her again and then fed on that. And then her beliefs, all over again.
Mm-hmm. And her dog died.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's we're now 2 for 2 on movies where the pet gets killed. All right, what's going on here? I don't like.
Yeah, like when an animal dies in a movie, I'm like, how would I feel if my babies ended up like that? I'd be fucking horrified. I would have a mental breakdown. I would go crazy if my babies died like that.
Yeah, but yeah, somebody else made that happen. Let's see here. Believe that she wanted everything to happen. She made a mistake of not committing suicide with her community and wanted to know what it would have been like if she had chose that for herself. So you think at the end she's living her best life, Paige? Is that what you're suggesting?
That's interesting. I guess that could be said, like she was kind of, running away from what she really wanted, which was that cult that she was in. She didn't want to be like the spokesperson for that. She was the one that was chosen to document all this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And be the shepherd, but she wanted to actually go with them. So that's actually an interesting point. I never thought about that.
Yeah, I think her father made her that, and she didn't want to be.
She wanted to go with him, but she was left alone. That's actually very interesting.
She didn't want that life.
That puts a whole new perspective on the movie.
Yeah.
And I think Brandon's right here, because the last shot of the movie is the revolver that she's presumably going to kill the kids with. It's only got 2 bullets.
Yeah.
So one of them's going to end up staying. I would think it's going to be her. That's her role, is she's going to send them on their way and then have to continue. But it's interesting because she thinks she's already died. So
yeah, she wouldn't kill herself because she already tried to.
Yeah.
And it didn't work because she thinks she's already dead.
Right.
So it's a moot point for her to even try and do it again.
So I wonder what's next for her. Is she kill them and she's like, well, time to go back to town and start over? Or is she just gonna live out there as a winter cult hermit, and scrounge for berries outside?
I always just like imagine her starving to death and going on.
I guess she thinks she's invincible now.
Yeah, so she's not gonna think she needs to eat or be hydrated or anything. She sent these kids onto their next life or whatever, and she's just gonna stay there in limbo. But really, she's gonna die.
Yeah. Speaking of 2 for 2, we're now 2 for 2 on cult movies as well.
Yeah.
Which I didn't plan. I didn't plan that either because like you, I didn't really know that this was a cult, or at least.
Oh yeah, I did. I had no idea.
Yeah, I didn't know that was going to be the background of her character. Do you think there's any? Because I almost feel bad to keep going back to Ari Aster and Hereditary and Midsommar and Beating the Dead Horse, but it feels like we are in some weird renaissance for cult movies. It's a trope that we keep running into with horror, and it's not. It's not exclusive or unique to the last couple of years, but it definitely feels more prevalent and popular now.
I definitely think it's like a very popular subject matter in this whole elevated horror renaissance that we're having, this like era of Renaissance horror, elevated horror, where I just feel like there's so much there. There's so much interpretation that can be taken from that subject that it makes it interesting to make a compelling horror movie where it's going to draw all sorts of reactions. People are going to love it or they're going to hate it. There's rarely any in between. So it has this divisive reaction for the audiences. And that's, what more can you ask from a horror movie?
I'm really curious to know, is this all coincidence or is it?
Did it start with Midsommar?
So his first feature, Ari Aster Hereditary, came out a year before that and also has a cult element. I'm trying to.
I mean, like because it seems as though it's like a continuous, like it seems like a lot of them are coming out now.
The first, like, I guess I hate using this term, but it's the easiest to use. The elevated horror, the A24 kind of horror movie. The first one I can remember is It Follows.
Was there a cult element in there?
There wasn't cult, but it was that like that kind of weird like atmospheric horror.
Yeah,
that's the first one I can remember, and then the Bitch came out like a year later.
Yeah, The Witch is where I really started noticing this kind of sub genre. It's for me, I'm just fascinated to know what it is about the story purpose of a cult that is getting. I say this as somebody who pitched a cult story a couple weeks ago, on this channel. So I'm right there with them. I'm just wondering where along the way, like what influence or what is interesting or prevalent right now that's making people write these stories. I don't know if it's what about culture and society right now, makes me wonder what is making people want to tell those stories and what is making people want to experience those stories. Is it like just how tribal I feel like beliefs are currently, whether it be religious or political? Everybody is set in their way, and it is a very aggressive time to live.
Interesting.
I see Jess is looking up some cult stuff right now.
Vanity Fair just came out with the article in April. What makes cult movies so irresistible?
Oh, no kidding.
That's interesting.
Yeah, it just seems like something that's going around right now, and I'm right there with them because I'm loving these movies so far, and trying to write something that's kind of chip off that block as well. But something about the deranged belief is I guess really resonating with people one way or another.
Here's a quote. Every single one of them, it's the repeatability. It's the feeling you found something special. It's wanting to share it with people. It's the idea that the film created an experience for you that you'll never forget. Revisiting these films never get old. Beyond the Valley of the Dolls just gets better and better no matter how many times you see it. So
yeah, the cult movies have been around. Obviously I think of like Wicker Man, being a classic one, that very influential on Midsommar. So
I just think it's an interesting plot element where there's like a gray like moral ground in these movies, like even in the cult, like you never know what's right or wrong.
Yeah,
and you end up sympathizing with different sides of that line. Do you sympathize with the cult or the people trying to be drawn into the cult? Like it sends you for a loop like the whole movie, and I think it's a very interesting story element that can be used.
Yeah, I do think these filmmakers are, these directors are pretty fascinated with morality. Based off their two features, they put children in a very, I would say, compromising position, whereas usually children are seen as symbols of innocence, something you can empathize with, something you fear for. I definitely, first half of this film, definitely sympathize with the children who she's reeling from being a cult survivor. They're reeling from this crazy, tragic, and unexpected death of their mother, and the complications that come with that. You can feel, they are kids, and so even if they're placing blame on Reely Keough's character is perhaps unreasonable for kids, how can you not expect them to feel that way when this other woman's coming into their lives as a potential replacement? And I got the sense that the father had probably been with her before he and their mother had really officially, you see him tell her he actually officially wants to finalize their divorce in the film. It seems like they were together before they even truly split. He had some type of affair. And he kind of seems like a weird sicko too, because he apparently wrote a book about the cult she was in, and then what tracked her down and romanced her. So
I'm pretty sure. See, did he write a book, or was he actually like her therapist?
I think he wrote. It seems as though he wrote a book about.
Okay, because I thought he was her therapist and ended up writing a book about that cult, based on his findings from being her therapist.
Okay.
And that's why they thought it was really fucked up, and that's what drove them to suicide, is because he he's supposed to be this person of helping, you know, these people, and he's some like deranged, sick person who's gonna, you know, seduce and end up bedding these people that need his help.
Yeah.
So from the moment where we find that out, like at least that's what I took from it. I had no sympathy for the dad.
Yeah, it's hard to really sympathize with anybody except Reely's character at the end.
Leading and the dog.
And the dog, absolutely.
Sympathize with the dog, and that's the other thing I wanted to get into is that the kids, you know, you can start off sympathizing with them even if you know they're being unreasonable, but by the end of the movie, it's very hard to contend with what they've done because it's not just mean, it's, you know,
cruel.
It's demented. Yeah, it's cruel. They're literally trying to emotionally and mentally break a woman, and they realize they go too far, but it's too late. And it's like, what else did you expect? You know, even a child, you know.
It's intended to do harm.
Yeah, it's a movie that doesn't have an antagonist, which I know that they were really doing. It also kind of doesn't have a protagonist. It's just these very broken, traumatized people stuck in a room with nowhere else to go or hide, and their different neuroses and experiences, pain, just bouncing and deflecting and informing each other. Which, to Nick's question, you know, Nick, I kind of do hate to use the term elevated horror because I feel like it implies that horror itself is less than.
Yeah, and it needs to be elevated. That's why I also hate using that. But it's so easy to use because it's like horror can be smart, but these ones are like so like contemplative. The ones that we refer to as elevated horror. It's the name itself is a slight, but I'm not trying to use it as a slight. It's just these ones have a more contemplative nature to them.
Right.
And to Nick's question, it kind of ties into Paige's question or statement. I do think the trend will stick because it's not really a genre. The cult film is not really a genre. And you can do so much with that that storyline. There's one called the Manson Family Vacation, which is also a cult movie, but it's a horror comedy where the long lost son of Charles Manson, it goes on a road trip with his brother-in-law, and unbeknownst to the brother-in-law, it's Charles Manson's son, and he's going back to the house that Charles Manson killed everybody in, or sent his disciples to kill everybody in. But it's like this dark comedy. So I don't think the trend is going to go anywhere because you can do so much with it. Yeah,
I agree. I think because I love what you would consider maybe your more standard horror movies too. You know, we've been talking today about Jess and I about Conjuring 3. We're excited for it. And
yes, absolutely. The Devil Made Me Do It. I'm so excited for that one.
Oh my god!
I think that franchise rules. I think some of your more typical, straightforward horror movies. I would even put Invisible Man in that category of a pretty straightforward horror movie, but you can definitely approach it and execute it in a way that's unique and compelling. So I don't want to put those movies down and suggest that they are less than elevated or something.
Yeah, but absolutely.
I do want there to always be a market and demand for movies that are a little more atmospheric, a little more contemplative.
Don't really have those jump scares that you're accustomed to in The Conjuring and that Annabelle and Insidious and all those. Yeah.
And there's still, you know, there's a few in this one. There's a few in The Lodge, like her breaking ice. Even, you know, the mom killing herself. I mean, that's one that makes you.
Oh yeah, that makes you jump.
Pay attention.
Yeah.
But they're used sparingly.
But by jump scare, I mean like the jump out and get you. Jump scares, like the monster out of the back kind of jump scare.
Yeah. To Paige, what she said about the dog. I think the dog needed to die because I know you guys think that her going to the house was kind of like the it factor for her being the point of no return, but I think the dog dying and her losing the dog was the point of no return because she had said that she got the dog as a restart for her to have a new life.
Yeah. So would you say like her going to the house in the snow was like her trying to go back to her old life, but then she turns around. She's like, no, I don't want this, because she couldn't get in. But when she comes back, she, there's the dead dog. She finds the dead dog, and that was it.
I thought she came back because she got lost, and she just ended up coming back upon the lodge.
Yeah, that's what I thought. But I think now that we're talking about the dog, it would make sense for her to reach this. And, she's helpless. She's in the middle of nowhere. She's thinking she's found this house, but really, it's in her mind. It's, her old life. She's trying to go back to this familiar place, this familiar person. And she still has a little bit of hope, and she turns around. And then this dog that she got to start a new life, she finds in those woods, and it's dead. And so that's it.
Yeah. It's a film. I think there's always something to be said also about a film you can have a conversation about.
Yeah, absolutely. Like we've been talking about 45 minutes about this movie, and that's.
Yeah,
what more can you ask for?
And Jessica didn't like it, and even still, it's still something that can inspire conversation, and it's something that you want to pick apart and figure out and understand. So I
should we do like the end of our reviews, like a watch it or?
I think
I was gonna say, what would you guys put it on the real scale? Because we do, like, I know when Nick and I do the reviews, we do like 1 out of 5 real, 1 to.
See, I don't like the 1 to 5 thing because
I don't.
If I like it, I'm gonna suggest to watch it,
right.
and I'm gonna give it my all to suggest it. So I'm probably gonna get a 5 if it's a 1 to 5 scale, because in my opinion, there's a 1 or a 5. I either like it or I don't like it.
See,
sometimes I'm in between, and I'll say cautiously go into it. You might like it, you might not. I was okay on it. But this one, I would say definitely check it out. It requires a couple views. If you can stomach it, definitely watch it twice. Try to pick up on things you might have missed. Try to ponder on things that you might have not noticed or understood the first time around. But I definitely say check this out, because it is a movie that requires conversation, and it's a movie that makes you think. So I say definitely check it out. If you have Hulu, check it out, stream it. It's worth a watch.
Yeah, I don't think my last thoughts on it are going to be I don't like it. I think my last thoughts on it are going to be I didn't connect with it.
Mm-hmm.
I liked the production of it. I thoroughly enjoyed how it was made. I just didn't connect with it. So I think because, you stated you had to watch it again, we're going to watch it again. I think if we watch it again, I could connect with it. I think maybe I just need to watch it again in order to actually like it. So I think we're just going to watch it again.
Some movies are like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
If it wasn't clear already, I would recommend it and suggest it. Again, these are the kind of horror movies that appeal. All horror appeals to me on some degree, but these are, I think, the ones that really catch my interest. Anything that sparks an intense reaction one way or another, that's something I'm always going to want to check out and see how I feel about it. I love something that is complicated and nuanced. I love something that I don't know if you can achieve the effect of me sitting there and being compelled enough to really want to know what's going to happen, even if I'm dreading it. I was dreading knowing what was going to happen, because even before it really starts happening, a mother kills herself, and you got to live with children's trauma as they're trying to feel that situation.
Yeah.
You got a woman who's the survivor of a religious death cult, like something straight out of Heaven's Gate. That's nothing light. So I could tell it's a heavy film. The whole time I was sitting there, just white knuckle dreading what was going to happen. And anytime you can accomplish that effect, even if by the ending I go, I don't know how I felt about that. Anytime you can make me engage with the material that heavily, that's something I'm going to recommend and see if people feel the same.
I think that's the sentiment we keep going back to, Manu, is if it's a horror movie that can get a reaction out of us, one that isn't like a jump scare, one that really makes you like dread the events that are going on, then that's a movie worth watching.
Yeah. So I got you. Brandon, the Snow Angels were done by the kids.
Yeah, definitely done by the kids. I actually counted them because I thought they were going to represent all the people that died originally in the cult, but there were way too many.
See, in the trailer, I thought they were something else, but when she showed her the video, I realized that they were Snow Angels.
Yeah, when I thought they were going to be like I think it was like 37 or 39 people that died in the cult. I thought that's what it was going to represent, but there was way too many of them. But that was my original thought. But I think the kids definitely did that.
Oh, they definitely did.
A creative way to keep your religious imagery and tie it into the fact that it's taking place in the middle of a winter wasteland. There's lots of great religious imagery. I like the element of like that the mom had basically decorated the lodge itself, and there's these religious icons, pictures and art, and so not only is Reely's character dealing with the anxiety of potentially being the replacement of these kids' mom and having to sort that out, but she's literally got this imagery like haunting her.
Yeah, the cross and the Mother Mary and everything.
You don't belong here. You don't belong in this world. You should have died with your cult. I thought the religious element was pretty well executed.
Mm-hmm.
Well, also the kids are struggling with the religion aspect as well because the mother,
the daughter kept crying. She's not going to go to heaven. She's not going to go to heaven. Yeah,
they're conflicted too because mom committed suicide. So they believe, well, especially the daughter, believe that she's going to hell.
Yeah.
So, and they blame the dad, or they blame, they blame the dad.
Well, I think they blame Reely's character, but if they're going to blame anybody, they probably should blame the dad.
Yeah.
I thought they told him that it was all his fault.
Yeah, the son did. The son said it's all your fault. Fuck you.
You're right. Yes.
Yeah, I thought so.
A well-earned fuck you, is it?
Yeah.
As a child, you don't get to cash in many of them, but I felt like that was an easy.
That was he saved that one for the right time.
Dick, are you kidding me?
Yeah, and maybe that plays into why his kids are such assholes.
Yeah.
Dad was very selfish. And
sure. Go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, no, he was very selfish, and he fucking left his kids alone.
Yeah.
With a woman that was on fucking antipsychotics.
Yeah, like he should have known the risks.
Nowhere.
One, and the kids clearly don't like her, and they don't trust her, and they're not. It's not if your intention was, hey, let's go out to this lodge and you hang out with my kids, and by the end of it, we'll figure out a way to maybe be a family, and you guys like each other. You don't fuck off halfway through it.
Yeah.
Well, there's a VHS of Jack Frost in the cupboard. You guys will figure it out. You guys have a good time.
Plus, it felt way more than a few days.
Yeah, which I think was intentional.
I think that was intentional to kind of also draw into that psychosis of what's going on with the main character.
And it's for her too. Like the clock stopped working, so she can't tell time. What time of day is it? It's winter. Look outside. It's just white and gray all day. So their sense of time. They're completely disoriented.
Brandon, I'm pretty sure he knew she took pills.
Yeah, I thought he knew.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he knew.
I think the reason she was being secretive of that when she ran upstairs and took the pills and he came in on her, I thought she was hiding it from him because she didn't want to seem like she was falling apart or beginning to fall apart. I thought she was trying to keep it together for him to show that she can be a stepmother, she can take care of these kids, she can be trusted and loved.
Right, because she started she took a pill, and then he was like, well, maybe I should stay because he noticed taking a pill.
And to her credit, as far as we can tell, it seems like maybe she is holding it together relatively well up until...
She did, yeah. She held it together against all odds. She held it together until they left her no choice but to fall apart.
Until little gremlins deny you your medication and specifically play on your trauma and your fears and your own psychology to break you. So
yeah. They even tried to get into her psyche by telling her that she was the one walking around the house doing weird shit.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we had a pretty large conversation about this.
Should we talk about what we're gonna watch for next episode, which is my birthday. It's gonna fall on May 21st.
The birthday boy.
Yeah. So it's going to be a special birthday episode.
We may have a game night before or following that episode.
I believe that's the plan.
Happy birthday edition of Reely Scared for the special birthday boy.
Yeah.
My daughter's birthday is the 20th.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
May babies.
Yep.
Yes. So next week, we always, like I said last week, if you missed it, I'd like to really instill kind of a movie club vibe with this show of this is what we're going to talk about next week. So go watch it and come back so you can hang out and chat with us, which seems to have happened tonight. So I'm very happy that this worked.
I think we're going to do a double feature. Is that correct?
Next week, we're doing a Shudder double feature with Daniel Isn't Real, which is a relatively new horror film that Connor has seen. I have not watched yet, but
I may have to watch that one.
I am looking forward to checking that out very much. And then we will also be doing, this will be coming out the same day of the show, Blood Machines, a new film that I think it's not quite feature length, but it's a little longer than short film, I would say. I'm not even 100% sure what it's about. It just looks wild and nasty. It's like a guy's spaceship turns into a ghost of a naked woman or something. It looks nuts. It's scored by Carpenter Brute, which is a wild synth wave, like retro. It looks awesome.
Yeah. Honestly, Paige, if you want to come on for the birthday episode,
it's easy to send you a link.
Absolutely. We'll send you the link. You can come on and we can chat about horror and Daniel Isn't Real.
Yeah. Connor's birthday party, so you can invite whoever you want.
But just
you, Silverstone.
Just on my end, some housekeeping things. For those people who are interested tomorrow, be sure to check out Spin from the Reel, our movie trivia Schmodown show that Chris and I will be hosting. There's a lot that's happened in the Schmodown, including the free agent signings of Chris Jericho and Kevin Smith. So that is really interesting coming up, and we're excited to talk about that. Saturday, we have our next episode of Saber Reels. It's been a little bit of time, but that's just because it was a slow period and Clone Wars is happening. So this episode is going to be primarily talking about the Clone Wars final season and all this recent news drop that we just got. Then on Sunday, we have a episode of Real Talk with everyone coming back, which we'll be talking about the return of the drive-in, which Taylor will be able to give us a very hands-on experience on that, considering he just went last night. And we will have reviews for Capone and Scoob. So be sure to come check those out. And then on Monday, we have an episode of Final Buzzer where we will be talking about the NFL draft results after free agency or after undrafted free agency and the results, where do teams stand and everything. So those are just some of the shows we have coming up. We do have, hopefully starting to shoot at the end of this month, the Watt Trivia Challenge, which will pit all of the Watt crew up against one another in movie trivia. It is inspired by the movie trivia Schmodown. It's going to be a fun time. I know.
Oh, we're not doing tag teams?
No, we're not doing tag teams.
Damn it.
This is mono e mono. But yeah, I do have Connor. After the show, I can show you the bracket because the bracket is made, and then I got word during the show. I was messaging Chris. He is officially down for a "Who Are They Really Scared" watch along of Jordan Peele's Us.
Cool.
So
let's do it.
Those are just some cool, fun things we got going on the next month or so. So.
Lots to look forward to. Right on. Well, I sense us winding down here.
Yeah.
I wanna thank everybody for joining us. A lot of people participate in the chat tonight, so that's awesome. Thanks to Paige, Nick, Aaron, Brandon. We had a lot of people coming in tonight, so that's great. Thanks as always, Connor, for steering the ship with me. Thank you, Jessica, for joining me and always being willing to watch movies that potentially scare the shit out of you when you don't like it. Like, I don't think that's happening anytime. I don't think you're gonna get that watch along for a long while, but of course, thanks to Matt for running the show in the background. I appreciate making our jobs a little bit easier. We've got a lot of stuff to look forward to next Thursday, 21st. Again, we'll be doing Really Scared once again.
Taylor, before you sign off, I need you to check your phone. I sent you a text message, and it involves
34.
No, it involves today's show, so I had to send it to you.
a good Serbian film meme. You know, you don't see a lot of those. Yeah, Thursday next week. Check out Daniel Isn't Real. Blood Machines comes out the day of that show on Shudder, which is a great horror exclusive streaming service. I think you can get a week of it for free if you want to try it out, and then it's like $5 a month after that.
Yep.
So go sign up for Shudder, watch a couple movies, come back here next week and talk with us and celebrate Connor's birthday.
Yay!
And until then,
Stay spooky.
Stay spooky.
Good night, guys.
Good night.
Bye.